Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Out's here, and it's Thursday. We're doing the Thursday Think Tank, and today is really oriented around the 2025 NBA Draft. And yesterday, I did a lot of research, hours and hours of research on all the big men for the draft. And I have a list of 5 names for the 9 pick and 5 names for the 39th pick that if the Raptors are considering big men for those draft positions, who I think that they should strongly consider. And that's kind of what the subject for today is. I'm going to go over my top 5 for pick number 9, and I'll talk about my top 5 for pick number 39 also. Now, I have to preface this. I did not do any research on any position other than power forward and center. I did not look at hardly anybody else. I did look at a couple of guys that are right around number 9 that people have mock draft us. I went and looked at like 10 different mock drafts online, the major ones, Bleacher Report, ESPN, The Ringer, USA Today, CBS Sports, NBA Draft Room, Tankathon. And I took all of their mock drafts. I took all of the main centers and power forwards that I looked at. I watched tons of footage. I went and looked at these guys' Wikipedias. I did scouts on all of them like crazy yesterday. I compared and contrasted. I looked at a lot of people yesterday, and I've come up with a certain group that I like, a certain type. And I will say this. One of the things that Masai said at the end of the season interview about the draft was obviously they're kind of looking for another big or a backup point guard. Those were the 2 positions he kind of said like out loud in his end of season interview. So I'm wondering with that, whether, they could go in a lot of different ways. I think between the 9th and the 39th pick, there will be 1, 4, or 5 selected in one of those 2 places. I think that's highly likely. And then, I mean, it's a crapshoot. Does he go and get 2 in this draft? Like try to get 2 centers or a center and a power forward? Or is he going to try and go get the 3rd point guard? And which one will it be? Will it be the get the guard in the 9th pick? Or they get the backups big at the 39th pick, or vice versa? That's the thing we got to look at. In some ways, to me, the point guard is not absolutely essential. In some ways, we've got Scotty and RJ showing great chops as being passers. And I'm sure Brandon Ingram is also going to be a very good passer when he shows up and plays for the Raptors. So it's like Shed and Quickly, if they can stay healthy, I think they can handle the point guard stuff for us this year. But it's always good to have an insurance 3rd backup point guard just in case for whatever reason, and have somebody coming up in the pipeline. In some ways, it's somebody coming up underneath Shed will keep him motivated to stay in the middle and be the backup point guard, because the guy coming up underneath him is like doing really well. He could steal his spot. So in some ways, you need that kind of internal competition to make sure guys are striving to be the best that they possibly can be. So, yeah, I think that if the Raptors are going to pick anything, it's going to be a 5, a 4, or a 1. And 2s or 3s don't really make sense to be drafted by the Raptors right now. They really don't. They really, really don't. And a lot of the mock drafts I looked at yesterday, when they put 2s and 3s for us in different spots, I'm like, man, these guys don't pay attention to the Raptors. They don't know what our team build is already. And they're just throwing a random foreign player here into the spot for the Raptors on the mock draft. That's what they're doing. They're putting foreign player right here just because he's foreign, he must want to go to the Raptors. I wrote down all the selections of these entities of who they said we were going to pick and where these guys were going to pick at and stuff like that. It's very interesting. Your ESPN's poll mock draft is saying Colin Murray Boyles. I went and looked at him again, man. If that guy is only 6'7", there's no way we should draft him. And I think that you guys, we are all on the same page on this. I think that we've all kind of gotten to the point where we're not about CMB or Derek Queen, that those guys are kind of falling off of our draft boards completely. ESPN wants us to pick them at 9th. Say Colin Murray Boyles would fit in with the Raptors' defensive tenacity. Who cares if he's not an offensive player? He's not going to add this, and he's undersized. It's the Raptors. Let's send him up there and give him an undersized power forward. No, I ain't about that. And then ESPN's pick in the 39th pick is a guy from Australia named Alex Tui. You know, this stream, the title says the French Revolution continues. And it's true. Victor Wembanyama came into this league as the number one pick from France with Bilal Koulibaly. And last year, the top two picks, French again, Sarr and Rissachet. This year, I'm looking at it, and you know what? There's a ton of French guys again this year. What is going on in France? These guys are all super tall, super athletic, and France is putting out some really good quality players in the last few years. Seriously, Canada, not as many players this year. Australia has a lot of players in this draft also. But I would say this, just in general, the Australian players I scouted yesterday, like Alex Tui, are all shaky and suspicious to me. First of all, I'm going to say this. The NBL, the National Basketball League of Australia, is not the best competition to gauge players by and look at them. And in some ways, some of the Australian players remind me of like when young kids call old generation plumbers. I'm not going to lie, seriously. There's one Australian player on my recommend draft list. But there's a couple of these guys that are in this draft that everybody's going goo goo gaga about. But I'm like, nah, man, I'm not with the Australian guys this year, except for one, the tallest guy, Rocco. I think that Rocco actually might be pretty good in the league, honestly. I went and scouted him, and, man, the kid for 7'4", he moves around pretty good. But it's like a lot of the guys on my list, you know, mobility is a big factor in when I looked at them. You know, if you're going to be 7 foot plus, you got to be able to get up and down the court. That was the biggest worry with Zach Edey. Is how is he going to translate to the league with the speed and the up and down of the NBA game? And in some ways, he did find some problems, but for the most part, he worked out. He's all rookie first team. But that's something you got to worry about when you're drafting a center. Is this center even going to be able to play in this league because he gets left behind because he's too damn slow? And there are some second-round bigs that are going to be too damn slow for this league, and maybe even some that are on my recommendation list. But out of the guys I looked at, the 10 on my list are the best centers, power forwards, I believe, in the draft. And I've got them ranked in the order that I think we should get them to. So, yeah, France, they're really good players. In fact, there's 3 French guys on my list today. 3 French players out of the 10 are 3 of the 10 are French out of the 10. 3. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. There are a lot of foreign players on my list. Yeah. I'd say that, let's see, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 foreign players out of the 10 on my list. So, of course, and this is interesting, looking at the various mock drafts, some of the mainstream ones are saying that Common will not be available at 9. But a majority of the mock drafts are saying that we will draft Common and that he will be available to us. Tankathon has us drafting him at 9. Yahoo Sports has us drafting Common Malawach at 9. USA Today has us drafting Common Malawach at 9. NBA Draft Room has us drafting Common Malawach at 9. And 2 other sites that I looked at have him available still at 9 also. So I looked at 9 different sites, and only 3 of them said he wouldn't be available for us. And you know which one those 3s are? These are haters. I'm telling you right now. ESPN has him at 7, going 2 picks before us. Bleacher Report has him at 7, going 2 before us. And The Ringer has him at 6, going 3 before us. Those are the only 3 pages. And listen, you know those names, ESPN, Bleacher Report, and The Ringer. They're all saying that Common will be off the board by the time it gets to us. I'm not changing this. The number 1 pick that the Raptors need to take at 9, if he's available at 9, is Common Malawach. I'm not changing this. He's a project, and in some ways, he's fallen on some draft boards. One of these mock drafts has him drafted at 23, guys. Isn't that crazy? There's a mock draft that has Common Malawach getting drafted at 23, behind a lot of the players that are on my list already. That some people may be thinking that he's such a project that, you know what, maybe he isn't supposed to be a top 10 pick. That's kind of interesting. Well, we'll have to see where reality falls in the real world. Is the value of a smaller player like Trey Johnson, Kasparas Yakinaitis, are those guys going to be picked before Common because Common's too much a gamble because he's a project? That could possibly happen. Seriously. You know, that's the thing. And if Masai's promise to Common is, I will draft you at 9 if you're available there. Don't worry, you're not going to fall out of the top 10. That's what I think his promise is to him. Is that don't worry, Malawach. If you're in trouble, if you're not going to get drafted. The Raptors have the ability to get you at 9. We're getting you at 9. And that's still what I recommend. If Common is not taken before 9, we should take him. We should take him. No ifs, ands, or buts. We will get this big man in our system, and he can start developing with another African youngster named Shamshe. That's my number one recommendation for this draft, Masai, is draft Common if you're able to. Right there. But if he isn't, the second player, and it hasn't changed, honestly, it's interesting, was Derek Queen. He's off the list now. But Asa Newell is my second choice. And you know why? I went and looked at Asa some more. He's from Georgia, right? He plays for Georgia. The thing about Asa Newell is he's got a certain type of a toughness to him. He takes hits. He's physical. And just like Murray Boyles. But the thing about Asa Newell is he's taller. And the other thing is he's young too. He's young and he can still grow. So even though they're purporting that Asa Newell's more a power forward, he can play center too. Watch. He'll be able to play center. And I'm going to speculate, especially because some of these people on my list are 18 or 19 years old, that they could grow another inch or two. That's the crazy thing. Like if a guy's 6'9", he could be 6'11" in the next year or so. So in some ways, if they're just barely there, I would say, you know what? If they're undersized right now, they could actually grow into being a center height. And I think Newell's that kind of guy. Now, the great thing about Asa is he shoots threes really well. Just Common shoots a pretty good three too. But he shoots threes really well. You know what? There's a couple of guys on my list for number 9 for the Raptors that give me Claxton vibes. Nicholas Claxton. And Newell's one of them. Newell is one of them. He gives me major Nicholas Claxton vibes. And, you know, we've said for years that we'd love to have Nicholas Claxton on our team. What if we get a player in this draft that is basically his type of player? Because there's a ton of them available in this draft. I'm not going to lie. There's like at least 4 guys that are on my list that are Claxton-like. And that's the mobile big that can get around quick up and down the court. Not going to be slow. Some of them can hit threes, which is fantastic. They're all great shot blockers. And they have the potential to bulk up and even grow more inches in some instances. And so my number one recommendation for drafting at number 9 is Asa. Asa. And in some ways, he's been all over the mock drafts. I've seen him as far back as 21. ESPN considers him the 21 pick, which to me, you know what? The fact that ESPN has him sewered down lower than everybody else tells me that ESPN's underrating him on purpose for some sort of nefarious reason. I mean, everybody else has got him way up there in the teens, like at 12th or 13th or 14th. And ESPN's put him all the way down at 21. Bleacher Report has him at 10th. So if he's at 10th on Bleacher Report, is it a reach for the Raptors to take him at 9th if Common's not available? That's what I'm saying. Is it a reach for the Raptors to take Asa Newell at 9th if Common gets picked by the Nets the pick before us? I don't think so. As long as Mobby and Masai check him out and look at him, kick the tires and say, yeah, Newell's great, guy. He's great. You're right. You should get Asa Newell because he is a Claxton type of player. He has a crazy big sideshow bob hair, and he can attack the rim, and he's very athletic for his size and his height. And as I said, he's young. He could grow a couple inches or two. That would be badass. So, yeah, Newell is my second recommendation for the Raptors if Common is off the board.
My third recommendation is a kid from France. There's two kids in France on my list now at the 9th pick. And this first one is a project. He's a little bit unknown, and he's somebody that nobody's really talked about a whole lot at all, and that's Joan Berenger. Jean Berenger, or something like that. I don't know how you say it in French, but yeah, Jean. He's interesting because once again, he's another Claxton-like player. He's got a really, really interesting offensive bag already. The other thing about Joan is he's not played basketball very long. He's late to the game. And sometimes these guys that are late to the game are so interesting, like Siakam, because you can mold them in better ways professionally. They don't have a lot of bad habits because they came in. But it is true. They're a little behind, and they've got to learn and get better faster, Shamshay and Malwatch and people like that. But I like what I saw with Joan. In some ways, the French guys really are coming in longer and bigger and more skilled athletically than a lot of people that are coming from America right now, as far as players. There's a reason why French guys are getting picked like crazy. The French league's going nuts, and these guys are just amazing wingspans and heights and Victor Wembanyama kind of stuff. To me, Joan is probably the best big center out of all the French guys coming in as far as things. There's a couple of guys from Europe that I've looked at, and some of them I'm not liking. I don't like Yaxel. I think he's too slow, but I do like Joan. Part of it is also in the other guy I'm going to talk about next too. They could be picked at 9, and I wouldn't be upset about it. Is the guy that you guys asked me to scout in the last 2 days, Noah Senge. The other French guy, he's 6'9". Now he's another guy that's like, all right, he's 6'9", but he could grow another inch or two. And he's the guy that I was saying he's giving me Gobert and Durant vibes, because Noah, in some ways, offensively, is very like he has like Brandon Ingram, Kevin Durant kind of moves, and his length and his body type. Now he's a little skinny and he needs to fill out. But the offensive skills of Noah Senge are phenomenal. I watched, like I said, I deep dived on these guys yesterday, and I really understood him. Now, Noah's is really kind of a forward. He's not a true center. But as I said, because he's so tall already and he's young, he could actually grow a couple inches still. And even if he's like 6'9", 6'10", he could still play center for us if he has to, but he's more naturally a forward, and because he really moves up and down the court really fast. But because of the length and the size, in some ways, at worst, he's like a Chris Boucher as far as rebounding and getting in there and mixing it up. So yeah, those two French guys are around kind of the same place in my eyes as far as being drafted. Noah Senge has actually been drafted as high as 9th. Bleacher Report has us drafting him at 9. That's what Bleacher Report's mock draft says. Raptors select Noah Senge at 9. And, Tankathon, 11th. NBA DraftNet, 11th. Yahoo's got him drafted before we could draft him at 8. Yeah, Noah Senge off the board at 8 in the Yahoo draft. So I think that he wouldn't be a reach if we did select him. If there's a Bobby Masai like Noah Senge, you get a thumbs up from the Raptor Freak on this too. He's not going to totally be the center though that we wanted, but he is a very long player that can rebound and do some good stuff. He can shot block too. So those are 4 of my top 5 picks. Joan is more of a project. Joan is a little bit younger and a little bit more raw and newer to the game, but the potential of Joan Berenger is really good, honestly. Like I can see some real interesting stuff that you can't teach in him, tendencies and offensive kind of stuff that's natural with him. There's, Alrish Shamshay has some natural stuff you can't teach that's in him already. Well, Joan has that too in some ways. Very patient guy. My 5th guy for the 9th pick is Thomas Sorber. And he's been all over the place on this draft list. In fact, actually, no, never mind. It's not Sorber. I switched it. It's Rasheer Fleming. Rasheer Fleming, I went and looked at him. He may be the most true power forward out of my whole 10. And the reason why I like Fleming is partly because he's got crazy hops. That's part of it. He's like 6'9", and he's a big body, so he can play true power forward. But he's got hops. He can get up there. Him and Adu Taro or whatever, Taro. Man, those two guys have some serious jumping ability. So I put Rasheer on here because in some ways he's in a weird no man's land in the draft. Like he could be picked at 9 and it would kind of be a reach for sure. But he could also, I don't know if he drops all the way to 39. That's crazy. I don't think he will. But Rasheer's been all over the place. NBA 2K mock draft had him at 11th on a mock draft. He's been at 13th on NBA DraftNet, 19th on USA Today. So Rasheer Fleming, who I looked at in the eye test, he looked pretty good to me as far as strength and size and durability and fighting around the basket with strength. And like I said, his leaping ability will make up for him being shorter than 7 foot. But once again, he'd be more of a true forward than a center. But he would add some of the things that we're looking for, which is defensive rebounding and shot blocking to a degree. So I like Rasheer Fleming. Now, Sorber could be picked at the 9th pick, or if he falls all the way to 39th, well, he's a gimme. Get him then. Sorber's American, and Thomas Sorber got hurt at the end of his college season this year, and he wasn't available for combine, and he's still healing from a surgery. And in some ways, they didn't really get a good look at Thomas Sorber because of that. But watching his highlights, it's interesting. He reminds me a little bit of Daniel Gafford as far as he's just a really long guy that's kind of like he gets in there and mixes it up. He's very physical. He can take a lot of punishment and licks and go through people. And the wingspan and the different things, the building blocks for a good center in this league, I think they are in Thomas Sorber. So it's kind of weird because Sorber and Fleming and maybe even Joan Berengier, those three guys I don't think they should necessarily be picked at 9. But if they're available at 39, holy crap, what a bargain they would be. Any of those three, and including the guy who's on the picture for today, Maxime Renaud, my third French guy in the top picks that I'm looking at. Renaud is the best shooter of the big centers that I looked at. He's very braggadocio. Like, it's interesting. He did an interview at the Combine, and he said, I am the greatest shooting center in the history of the game. It's like, holy crap, this guy is very confident. Stanford center, Maxime Renaud. And the thing about him is he's good, man. He is good. He can shoot real well. We saw him play against Duke in the Stanford and them, and he had to go straight up against Common Malawach. And, he held his own in certain ways. But I like Maxim. He's interesting because he doesn't really look at himself as pigeonholed as anything. He's a very versatile player, as he puts it. And that's his biggest strength, is that he can pass, he can rebound, he can block shots, he can shoot threes, he can do it all, even at his height. The one thing I would say about him is that you worry about him getting up and down the court. Well, he gets up and down the court pretty good. I think he's fantastic. Stargate asked me to watch his shot mechanics specifically, and yeah, they're really good, man. He's got a little flit on his shot that is nice and very duplicated every single time he takes a shot. So, yeah, he's a big thumbs up. I think that the value with Maxime Renaud, since he's been off of some draft boards, not in the first round, he's been as low as 23rd in some of the mocks. If he's able to be gotten at 39, that's huge value. Huge value, but it's not likely he's going to drop there. In some ways, as much as we like Renaud, he might be in the middle of our picks in a place that just doesn't make sense. He's either a reach at 9 or there's no way in hell that he's going to be around at 39. So I don't know if it's realistic that we'll get Stanford's center. But yeah, going through my list of recommended players, Common Malawach, Asa Newell, Noah Esenge, Joan Berenguer, Rasheer Fleming, Maxime Renaud, Thomas Sorber. Those are the top 7 names on my best bigs in the 2025 draft. My next one for 39, and this may be a little stretch, and this may be a little controversial. Some people may be like, yeah, we don't need this guy, is Rocco Zarkowski. I looked at him very closely, and the dude is giant. He's 7'4", but he's not he's not fat, he's not slow, and he's not skinny either. Like, he's got a nice shoulders on him, like where he could really grow into being the right kind of size for the NBA. He is undeniably giant. And in some ways, he's shown a really nice proclivity for instincts and doing the right thing. So I like Rocco. I like Rocco. In some ways, I wasn't sure when I watched Rocco whether it was like, oh man, this is just a big stiff. He's not going to be able to do this or this or this. Now, Bobby and Masai may look at Rocco and say, yeah, you're wrong, Raptors freak. This guy is not going to be good in the NBA. We're not going anywhere near him. But to me, he looked pretty good from the eye test. He may be too slow, though. I can't tell for sure. It's hard to gauge guys by NBL. I'm just going to say that. That's why when I watch any of the highlights for like Tui or Zakarski, it's hard for me to gauge the speed and the size things because the NBL is just not anywhere near the same level as the NBA. And Zakarski looks real good in NBL. Like, he looks like Shaq over there. And I don't know how much that'll translate, but in some ways, 7'4", you can't teach that. And the mobility of what I see was Rocco Zarkowski is very, very good. Very, very, very good. He's the only Australian I would kind of recommend. There's a few Australians in the draft. There are. My ninth pick at 39th, that if he's available, I wouldn't be upset if they did go to this guy because he's one of these Claxton-like guys that is very mobile and kind of gets around, is the Swiss man, Yannick Conan Niederhauser. Yannick Conan Niederhauser. He's from Switzerland, but he's played in America in college. But yeah, he's very, in some ways, similar to Berenguer, kind of like a big, huge, very mobile guy. He's raw. He's got a lot of potential. Very Claxton-like. Very, very Claxton-like. Newell, the best one. Berenguer, Conan Niederhauser. Similar players, all three of them. And in some ways, I think Niederhauser is the most questionable. In some ways, he was left off a lot of drafts. But looking at him, I like him. He looks mobile enough and does the right kind of stuff for what we need. Because seriously, when I'm looking at these players for this draft for the Raptors, I'm looking for the needs of what we need as a team. And if I see a player in a highlight, like I watched Igor Danim yesterday from Russia, and he looks great, but I'm like, man, a lot of what he's doing is stuff that Scotty's going to be doing, that Grady's going to be doing, that RJ's going to be doing, and Brandon's going to be doing. And those things are covered. It's like we want skills and things that are not being covered for our team well enough. And a lot of that is defensive rebounding, shot blocking, and shoring up behind Jakob. And that's why, look, we could get into all kinds of problems with our team with overstepping boundaries of who should be doing what. And a little healthy internal competition is great. And we have a really good balance of that with our chemistry and our guys. In some ways, you don't want to outright say, Grady Dick, you're competing with Jacoby Walter. But they are. But they have to be friendly and have good vibes, too. You bring in a young player who's an upstart and two really crazy good in certain ways, and it can hurt your team more than it helps because there's a positional battle and there's hard feelings and there's a little bit of weird stuff going on. We don't need no TJ Ford Calderon kind of stuff is what I'm saying. And that's why, when we draft, if we were talking about Andrea Bargnani yesterday and mismanaged Raptors because Brian Colangelo didn't build a team that made sense with Chris Bosh and Andrea Bargnani standing next to each other in front court, this is why I'm talking about this way. Sure, there's a philosophy of drafting the best available, and there's a philosophy of drafting positional needs, and that's what I'm talking about, is maybe positional needs, but it's also specific activity needs that the Raptors need right now. In some ways, we're gold because Scotty is a big that can pass and do everything. We're gold because we have a driver to the basket like RJ Barrett. We're gold because we have a pull up and shoot point guard that can shoot from almost the logo. We're gold because we've got sharpshooters that space the floor like Grady Dick and Jamison Battle. We got a lot of these roles that we need. In some ways, we need that big man if he can check off shot blocker, defensive rebounder, defender, and 3-point floor spacer. Woo! That's kind of the sweet spot right there for what we're looking for. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I really am looking for a type. And that's why my list of 10 is very much, these are guys that will fill this stuff, in my eyes, the best out of everybody I've seen for this draft. And that's why I named them. The last guy on my list, maybe the slowest guy on this list, and he may not be able to even play in the NBA, but it's Ryan Kalkbrenner. Yeah, I went and looked at him too. He's got some good size. He's got a lot of experience from NCAA. And, he was a pretty good center for his team like the years he was there. And he has experience. He's older, which in some ways is a detriment. But, some of these guys that went 4 years of college, that's not a bad thing either. We can look at what happened with Jamal Shed this year. So it's like, that's my list. Those are my 10 guys that I'm recommending as bigs for the team. Common, Malawach, Asa Newell, Noah Isenge, Jean Berenguer, Rashir Fleming, Maxime Renault, Thomas Sorber, Rocco Zarkowski, Yannick Conan Niederhauser, and Ryan Kalkbrenner. Those are the 10 center power forward recommendations from the Raptors Freak right here. If you guys want to see my work, I could share it with you real quick. Let me see. How am I going to do this? Share your work, Lex. Share your work. Let's see. I can show it to anyone with the link. That's what we want. Copy the link. I'll put it in the chat in the box here. And sorry, going for a half-hour spiel on my draft stuff. I want to make sure we do the cover. Now, once again, the phone line is open, guys. The phone line is open. If you have access to the phone line, if you want to call me today and give me your opinions or talk about whatever you want in content, we could talk about the game last night. We could talk about any kind of things that are going on Raptors related right now, Tempo related, Team Canada related, SGA related. You can call me on the phone. We're mostly talking about NBA draft today, but yeah, the number's there for people to look at the Discord and Facebook group and on this YouTube channel for channel members. You can see it also. There you go. There you go. All right, let's see. Trevor J's first in with the comments. Hate no one, no matter how much they've wronged you. Live humbly, no matter how wealthy you become. Think positively, no matter how hard life is. Forgive all, especially yourself, and never stop. Praying the best for everyone. That's very sweet, Trevor. That's a great word of wisdom. And man, in the world today, we need more of that energy, what you just described, man, in all kinds of ways. That's right. The meek shall inherit the earth, and I'm still betting on that. That's what I'm going to say right now. I'm still betting on that. Trevor J saying the Pacers have stunned the Knicks in overtime and came back and won at the end. Yeah, Halliburton hit a game tired to put it in overtime, which was fantastic. And then, yeah, they took care of business and broke the hearts of New York and home in overtime. I mean, Pacers, this is kind of your action at this point. I love it. I love it. I don't totally agree with Halliburton doing the choke symbol already, man. This is just one game, man. Save that for later, bro. You don't want that to come back and bite you, bro. Tyrese, it's funny. I see you doing the Reggie Miller. But in some ways, it's game one, man. You don't want to do this, man. In some ways, you want to be Indiana Jones and slide underneath the door and get your hat and get the fuck out of there is what you need to do right now. Seriously. Dun, 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 dun. Grab the hat, Tyrese, and get the hell out of MSG before somebody throws a garbage bag at you or something. Yeah, I would say, man, don't do that. That's your dad's energy. And in some ways, don't poke the bear. That's the other thing I would say. You don't want to antagonize them. I know you went on SmackDown with Jalen Brunson and y'all had your little kerfuffle, your little show for WWE. But in some ways, this isn't what this is, man. You need to be more serious. And if I was your teammate, if I was your coach, Carlisle, I would tell you, don't do that shit right now, man. We have so much more work to do. And you making that choke symbol at them at the end of the game is not a good look. I'm going to say this right now. Seriously, we don't need to egg on the anger of Knicks Nation and the team against you just because you're showing them up and doing a choke symbol at the end of the game. They don't need to be reminded of Reggie Miller doing that to them. I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, in some ways, look, I'm going to talk about this right now. Very real. There's an interview out in the last couple days by Brad Marchand of the Florida Panthers. And what did he say? He said that he feels bad for the Maple Leafs. Why? Why does the Florida Panther guy who's defeated the Maple Leafs over and over again in the playoffs, he is like they're saying the Leafs are his bitch. I mean, seriously, Marchand, he can say that. He's shown it over and over again. What did he say? He said, I feel bad for the Toronto Maple Leafs because the pressure of playing in that city for those fans sucks. And he's exactly right. I mean, this is why I fight so hard to separate us from them, because the way that the Leaf fans are toxic. And now, since they've gotten defeated on Game 7 on Sunday, all these people in the NHL are coming out and talking about how bad the Leaf fans are. And I believe them. Seriously, there's people that used to coach us that are coming out and saying, yeah, being there and the way that the city and the press and the fans are, it sucks. It sucks so bad. It's so hard. Why do people want to play for the Leafs? The Leaf fans are so ungrateful and they're so toxic. And they're throwing beers on the rink, and they're making us feel like shit. And we played our asses off for 82 games this season. We are trying, Leaf fans, and y'all act like spoiled brats still and act the way you do. It's thankless. And who the hell would want to come play for the Maple Leafs with the way that their fans treat them? You think these guys, these young guys that play for the Leafs, have anything to do with this drought that has been going on forever? No. They're trying to help you with it. But y'all are such assholes in Leaf Nation that afterwards y'all act the way you act and toxic and all this shit. No wonder the Leafs are the way they are. Brad Marchand basically blamed the fans and the media for why the Leafs suck. He did. He said, if you had this team in any other city, this team would be badass and would kick ass. And this is an amazing team the Maple Leafs have built here. But because the pressure is so hard by all the fans and the way they treat that team, that's why y'all fail over and over again. I believe him. I think it's amazing that people in the NHL are actually saying this shit out loud at this point. That the pressure to play for the Leafs is just crazy. And why the hell would anybody choose to come here and deal with this shit? This thankless shit. The way that the fans act. In some ways, Leaf fans, y'all may be looking at the team that y'all need. You're saying, oh, fire Shanahan, do this, get rid of this player, get that. Y'all need to look in the mirror, fans, and go and think about your behavior and how you contribute to the failures of the Toronto Maple Leafs for the last 60 years. Seriously. Y'all need to look in the mirror and think about how y'all are the ones that are the problem and the reason why the Leafs are doing this. Maybe y'all need to be a bit more benevolent or caring or supportive or non-toxic or just root for your damn team in the right way and stop beating them down and being so crappy. You know, the way y'all acted during the rest of that game, I'm hearing more and more about how that game went with the blowout and how y'all acted during the game, booing the team the whole rest of the game. You don't think they feel the failure of that moment without y'all hanging on them like that? You don't think that these guys that played for the Leafs all year long, skated their asses off and tried their best to do what they could do, feel the shame that y'all rained on them on Sunday in the Game 7 that they lost against the Florida Panthers? You don't think that you contributed this shit, Leafs Nation? You don't think that maybe it's your damn fault that this team is this problem all these years? I think it is. I think it's the overlooking at the team too much. Maybe we're blessed in Raptors Nation. We get ignored and that we don't get over scrutinized like the Leafs. Maybe that's actually a blessing that we get overlooked because we don't have the Toronto sports press absolutely going over everything too much. And the same thing with all the players. Now, what I just described is the same thing the Knicks go through. They do the same damn thing to the Knicks in New York, and that's part of the reason why they fail every time. You don't think that Knicks fan, after they lost to Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers last night, the way they did, is doing the same kind of toxic shit that Maple Leaf fan did on Sunday? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to be a fan of a sports team, be a fan and support your team unconditionally, like the Raptor freaks do for the Toronto Raptors. Don't be this, I'm deserving of this and this and this. I'm a spoiled brat, and I expect this and this from my team. If you come from the team in a positive, caring way because you just love your team, like a Cleveland Browns fan cares about his team, why the fuck would they be a fan of Cleveland Browns? If they weren't really a fan and they want that team to do well, they would not hang around and be around a fan of the Cleveland Browns at this point. Seriously, think about it. You guys think you're so owed so much, Maple Leaf fans, and some Raptors fans that act like Maple Leaf fans. That's what I'm saying right there. Y'all get in your own way of your own success. I love this. I'm glad Brad Marchand came out and said this shit. said that Leaf Nation, you are your own freaking problem yourself. They could fire Shanahan. They could get a whole new crew of players. And if they failed just like this one did, you would act just as shitty as you did on Sunday. So I'm saying right now, that's why we divide the line of Raptors Nation from Leaf Nation, because the toxicness of the Leafs Nation is getting in the way of them winning. And we ain't having that here in Toronto for the Raptors. No, we ain't. I wonder how much this happens to the Blue Jays too. Why does the Blue Jays keep choking? I don't know. They don't get an opportunity to get to places too much. It's usually they just are not a good enough team to compete and be in the postseason. That's probably what they're saying. But the Leafs are good enough. And according to the player from the Florida Panthers, they put him out again, said this team would be badass on any other place. It's the Toronto media and the fans that get in their way. Yeah. And former coach of the Leafs came out and said, yeah, I saw this when I was there too. Former players, they understand it. Austin Matthews said, yeah, I understand this pressure, but I like it. There's going to be pressure anywhere. It is what it is. I love Toronto. I love the fans. It doesn't matter. Some people get it, but some people are not going to want to come here and play under that crazy, you're going to get reamed out. And really, like, if you get any kind of success, I mean, that'll be a fantastic, but you're more likely to get pressurized and feel like shit. And your fans will turn on you and boo at you and throw beers on the court and all that on the rink and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm just saying, New York fans, if they lose this Eastern Conference Finals to the Pacers, which they've gotten off to a bad foot as of last night, they're going to act just like Leaf fans. And they're going to be the part of the reason why the Knicks don't get to the championship either. Yeah, they'll get in their own way because it's the same thing. It's the same action. It's the same under a microscope media attention. It's the same toxic shit with the fans. Yeah, right there. It's crazy, man. Good job, Pacers. Good job, Siakam. I loved hearing that Charles Barkley was giving Pascal Siakam major credit for the Pacers being in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years in a row. As Charles said, it's like the Pacers are not here without the addition of Siakam. And nobody's talking about Siakam enough. Thank you, Charles Barkley, for giving him his just due. And more people are talking about Siakam as of this playoff because it's fantastic. He's a great player and he deserves it. Honestly, they got to stop looking over him. Yeah. Trevor's saying SGA won the MVP award yesterday. The last 7 seasons for MVP award winners are international players. So the last 7 years in the NBA, everybody who's won the MVP has not been American. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm really proud of SGA for getting this. There was a really nice showering of love towards him, and all kinds of people coming out and saying great things about SGA and winning it again. Steve Nash himself making comments about SGA winning. He couldn't be prouder of another Canadian MVP in the NBA. That's fantastic. Let's go look at the Instagram stories. Since we brought up SGA and his MVP, first we got Leo Routens in his words of wisdom. He's saying, transform your life by daring to react differently. Good morning, a bold coffee. Cheers. There you go. Yeah, maybe you're reacting too good. Maybe you need to start reacting badly more. Leo, I love you, man. Scotty Barnes had a new montage clip come out from Raptors official admin. And it's an old-timey song, and it's kind of funny. They're singing about babies in the song, and it's like an old doo-wop kind of 50s song. It's not something you would hear on an NBA highlight very often. Scotty loves it, though. And the reference is there to babies. Put a little baby on the back and beat them, Scott. This is what he says when he plays Twitch on the 2K. He will go down low and he'll say, little baby, get off my back. I'm going to beat you down in the post. So go in the low post. He said, these little babies are on my back. I'm going to beat these little babies. And it's kind of funny because the clip is him beating little babies in the post and playing basketball on Joy, doing fun stuff with Chris Boucher. And it's saying, I love you, little babies, is the song. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I know that's what the reference is. Raptors admin, you're very smart. You know about Scotty's reference about babies, beat up little babies down on the back box. It always made me laugh when Scotty said, I'm going to get you little babies. Calling other people babies on the basketball court. I wonder if he does that on the court for real. Like, does he mutter under his breath to other players in the NBA, I'm going to beat you, little baby? Either way, I hope he does, seriously. But the reel is awesome, man. Honestly, you got to check out Scotty's new little baby clip. He put it on blast. He loves it. I can tell he loves it because he posted himself, right? He's also got a friend back at FSU who just got hired to be the new assistant director of player development for Florida State men's basketball. That will be under the new coach that they just hired, former player. I forget his name. He used to play for the Seminoles like around 2010, and now he's going to be the coach of the Seminoles after Coach Ham, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Justin Linder, congratulations from your friend Scotty. Saying proud of you, bro. Proud of you, Justin, for coming on and working on the coaching staff for the FSU Seminoles. Another cool thing is they hired Charlie Ward as the coach of the FAMU Rattlers men's basketball team recently. I think that's fantastic. Thomasville, Georgia's Charlie Ward, Heisman Trophy winner, FSU. Also, New York Nick, Charlie Ward. I think that's so cool that he's going to be coaching the Rattlers men's basketball team in Tallahassee this season. You go, Charlie Ward, Heisman. We love Charlie. Charlie is a really, really, really great person. Honestly, he's one of the best people in the world. Honestly, guys. Toronto Tempo president Teresa Resch is celebrating Steve Nash and SGA as the Canadian MVPs. Love to see that. So she's loving that Canada has another MVP in the NBA. That's fantastic. Don't you hear the thunder? There you go. Teresa also did a podcast recently where she was asked by 12-year-old girls about how exciting it is to start a WNBA team in Canada and what is the thing she's looking forward to the most. And Teresa basically answered the cute girls saying, the impact I'm going to have on people like you. There you go, Teresa. I love that. She's been doing a lot of media lately, a lot of different podcasts and different things like that. Lots of questions she's answering about the Tempo and getting everybody informed about what they're doing. That's really, really important and stuff like that. Let's see. Savannah Hamilton is putting on blast Ashley Docking, who's doing modeling work for some wear that she's putting on there. I don't know what that is. Peace Collective. Okay, cool. Also, Monica Wright-Rogers did a little speech at TMU University recently, and Savannah was there, and she was hanging out with Monica Wright-Rogers. So that's cool to see that they're kind of, spending time together, the GM of the Tempo and the sideline reporter for the Raptors. Also, she went out to eat, and it looks like some good food. She says the food was too good. I ate it before I could take a picture. Kelly Olynyk, very proud of his yes sir doggy. Congrats to SGA for getting the MVP. So Captain Kelly of Team Canada, very happy of his guy SGA for getting the MVP. That's cool. I love to see that Canadian love. Let's see. Jacoby Walter is putting on blast. Who is that? Is that Jacoby? He's sitting in a little seat, and he's at MLSC Launchpad. Since he's the ambassador for MLSC Launchpad, he has all these youngsters giving him interviews, and he's like sitting there with his glasses on. He looks so proud. Yeah, you go, Jacoby Walter. You're awesome, man. Norman Powell's back in the gym. He's had time off since the playoffs ended for him and the Clippers, but he's back on that grind. You know how it is. Ben Bagnani has got pictures of his wife out, class of 2020. Is that his wife or his daughter? I'm not totally sure. Class of 2028. I guess that's his daughter. Yeah, that's his daughter. So loading, sophomore, class of 2028. There you go, Ben Bagnani. Let's see. Tempo has a chance to win. Enter for a chance to win a place or season ticket holder deposit for the Tempo season tickets. Come down to Stack Saturday or Sunday to enter. Yeah, that's put on by Sephora. Let's see. Jamison Battle has no words. The Coys are finalists Together to Glory. I'm not even sure what this is all about. The Coys. This is obviously a soccer team in Europe that I have no idea. So his Jamison Battle's soccer team's doing really well. He's very happy. There he's put more on blast of the soccer over there in Europe. Emmanuel Quickly won an award yesterday. We talked about it for a second. The Bob Lanier Community Assist Award, the NBA is given to him for the month, Emmanuel Quickly. Nothing better you can do than to help someone else. That's right, Emmanuel. Good to see you get that. And also, Trevor posted a clip of Emmanuel playing drums again yesterday. Man, Emmanuel's such a good drummer, guys. Like, seriously, he's got some really good drumming chops. Emmanuel, man, you need to drum more. I want to see more clips of you drumming. Like, seriously. He's so good. There's also a picture of Emmanuel when he was a kid in a Dallas Mavericks jersey. But he's like dunking. It's kind of funny. Kind of weird picture. Let's see. Eugenio Maroy is very proud of his friend SGA for winning MVP. So he's put him on blast. Yasirski, very, very happy about that. Eugene broke baby Stunna. There you go. AJ Lawson putting on blast SGA, winning that MVP. Canadians coming out for SGA in full effect. AJ, Eugene, Kelly. We seeing it. We seeing it. There's our guy Lloyd, best friends with Scott. 2K. Why not Lloyd? Yeah, I was talking to Lloyd actually. Lloyd and I were interacting a little bit yesterday. I said to Lloyd my prediction about the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, that if they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves by 20 in the first game, they will sweep them by 4. And Lloyd loved hearing that. And then he said to me, he's like, yeah, I'm going to try and score tickets to the finals game for the Thunder. Like if they get the finals, which is likely, I think they will beat the Timberwolves, that Lloyd would like to go to the finals and see SGA and Oklahoma City play. And I said, well, I guess you're rooting for New York since you live in New York, right? It'd be easier for you to go to the game if the Knicks win Eastern Conference, right? And then I also told him, it's like, Scotty's got to have a hookup for you to get finals tickets. You know, you would think that Scotty Barnes could probably score a ticket to the finals game to help out Lloyd. I'm sure he could, but he's worried he can't get it. Lloyd's celebrating the 3 Thunder MVPs in the history: Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a MVP. And this is interesting. Now, I'll count these because these were in Oklahoma City. But the Thunder franchise is the only franchise in the history of the NBA that has 3 MVPs like this. That's interesting. I would have thought that maybe the Lakers or the Celtics have at least 3 MVPs in their history. You know, like Larry, Bill Russell. I don't know. Paul Pierce. No, Paul Pierce never was MVP of the league. So it's like I guess the Thunder are the only team that has 3 MVPs in their history. And that's from when they moved to Oklahoma City. That's not including anybody from Seattle. So that's one you can have for real. That one counts. That one counts. I'll give you that one. Coach Drew is still putting on blast his wife for a Supermom contest. Please vote for Coach Andrew Jones's wife. Let's see what else we got. Raptors putting on blast Emmanuel for winning that award. And there's the Scotty clip, the baby clip. Brandon Ingram's listening to G Herbo on his Instagram. He's also got a nice picture of him with a nice hoodie on. Brandon, you're a cool guy. You fit Toronto really nice. Let's see you play next year. Slim Duck has got this crazy basketball game going on his Instagram. Chris Boucher celebrating this auntie who's a certified bucket. This lady, this old lady, she hit this shot and she's celebrating. It's hilarious, man. Chris has the best Instagram stories, honestly. He's got one picture of this kid making a mean mug saying, controlling my tongue is no problem. It's my face that needs deliverance. I get you, man. I can't hide my emotions either. No poker face here. In honor of OG playing in the Eastern Conference Finals last night, Chris Boucher released a secret video of OG when he was on the Raptors still. Looking at Chris like, why are you filming me? Good luck tonight, my dog. Lost files of OG Anunoby. In the Raptors gear. We did see some Pascal versus OG last night, which was awesome. Go Siakam. I'm sorry, OG. I got to sell you out here, man. We're not going for the Knicks here. That's right. Some of us really came from the gutter. Is a picture of Chris when he was young, man. And honestly, man, I feel awesome doing the Tuesday trivia on him this week. But man, Chris is grounded in that way. That's the amazing thing, man. When you've been coming from where he came from, you're grounded. And I feel like Scotty has that same kind of grounding too. And that may be part of why they really bonded really nice, is because they came from a similar place of nowhere and nothing. And they made themselves into who they are in the NBA at this point. Man, it's got to be such a difference. Being a kid who grew up in a situation that was not totally, it was very shaky. Let's just put it that way. And maybe kind of confusing and not totally safe. I mean, they talked recently about Scotty being saved by Jay Simpson's dad, John Simpson, and helping him get food and clothing and things to be okay because he was in that kind of place, Scotty Barnes, in West Palm Beach. And that's why the Simpson family is so important to him. And Jay Simpson's his brother. You know, Chris Boucher had important formative people too that helped him get out of the trenches too. But you know what? Let's not get it twisted. Both those guys got themselves out of the trenches the hardest. Grinding at St. Hubert as a dishwasher and a cook after dropping out of high school, and Scotty doing what he did in the, you know, places like the Salvation Army and LA Fitness, playing against the old heads. I think that's part of, you know, it occurred to me the other day. Part of the reason why Scotty is the way he is on the court is because when he was so young, he played against old men. Like he played against 40-year-olds, people my age, people younger than me in their 30s. But Scotty played against very older people when he was very young, and he kind of learned the grown game at a very young age. Let's just put it that way. I think that's also why he doesn't back down to people. I think that's also why when LeBron threw the ball at him, he wasn't phased. I think that's part of the reason why he get in DeAndre Ayton's face. I think it's part of the reason why Scotty, in some ways, is fearless on the basketball court. Because how scared would you be to be like a 13-year-old, 12-year-old kid, and you're going on the court with grown men? And you're playing and you're hardening yourself at a young age against grown men, grown strength, grown attitudes, and grown knowledge. In some ways, that's part of what shaped Scotty as a basketball player right from the start, is playing against such grown people. Usually you play against your peer group when you're growing up, right? You play against people your own age, or maybe just a little older. Maybe you play as a 12-year-old against 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds, but he's out there playing against 40-year-olds. I'm just saying that'll shape Scotty in some ways. And, being around pickup basketball when I was younger a lot, you learn from people that you're around. So in some ways, this makes more sense that Scotty Barnes has an old school mentality because he was around really old heads when he started playing basketball really seriously. And those old heads would talk to him on the court and probably tell him, youngster, you shouldn't do that, young man. Don't do that or you should do this. You could do this. He probably got some really good schooling from some old heads at LA Fitness and Salvation Army gym. I'm just saying. Chris Boucher came from the trenches, and so did Scotty Barnes. And that's what I'm saying right there. Yeah, Scotty, let's see. Chris has got more about this uncle guy. He's talking to his nephew, and he's coming at him, and then he gets all dizzy, and he has to sit down. I don't know what's going on there. It's a weird situation. Uncle almost crashed out. Chris Boucher's team from Slim Duck Foundation is talking about working with him. There's a clip there for that. Chris is saying the 90s never went out of style because of all these songs he listed. There's like Smells Like Teen Spirit, What's Going On, Gangster's Paradise, Britney Spears, La Vida Loca, all these songs, Thunderstruck. Yeah, Chris is a 90s fan. He loves the 90s, I can tell. And then he's like, this is really cool to me. Like, this doesn't happen very often. Chris has made a post of Depeche Mode, Enjoy the Silence, as the music. And that's such a powerful song. It's like, words are very unnecessary. They can only do harm. Man, I love that song. And I love seeing the diverse musical taste of Chris Boucher that he would put an Instagram story out with Depeche Mode on it. Seriously, that's a big deal. Seriously. And we spoke about Jay Simpson earlier. There's Jay Simpson at the FSU Workout Center, putting in some work down there. That's right. There you go. There's your Instagram stories today. Yeah. Chris Boucher posted Depeche Mode. I thought that was pretty cool, man. Very, 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 very cool. Very cool. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying here. Trevor J saying Charlotte owners traded away 2 MVPs on draft night. Kobe Bryant, 1996 to the Lakers, and 2008 SGA to the Clippers. Yeah, Charlotte's been making poor decisions for a long time. That's right. long time. James is here. Big up SGA, best two-way guard in the league. That's right. Terrence Ross debunked it. He's not a free throw merchant. He's not getting anything he doesn't deserve. He deserves the free throws. So stop shading him, SGA haters, calling him this or that and saying, oh, he isn't that good. He foul baits. Yeah, he does. And he does it well. And that's why he gets so many free throws. So stop hating. That's what I say to people that have that narrative about SGA at this point. It's very interesting. Yeah, I love him too. James is saying, Lex, who's in my top 5 guards right now? I will say this. I like Igor Demin. Like I do. I went and looked at him some more. Kasparis, I'm not as big on. I feel like he's too small in some ways. I don't know. It's weird. I did look at some of those guys. Like as far as like, I looked at Con Knipple too. I looked at him. I looked at some of those guys around where we draft just in case. And I mean, there's some of them I'm kind of okay with. But for the most part, I'm trying to steer clear of these guys completely, Trying to stay clear of these guys. Like a couple of drafts had us picking Nolan Traore. He's a French point guard. Nolan Traore. But I was like, yeah, we don't need this guy. We've got Shed. It's like, we don't need this guy. It's kind of what I was thinking. Kasparis is interesting. Con Knupel, interesting. But I'm like, Igor Demin. I mean, those are the guys I would say. Like, they're trying to say that Con Knupel is like Chris Mullin. That's what somebody was making that comparison. They're saying that Con Knupel is like a Chris Mullin coming in right now. He reminds me so much of Chris Mullin. That's interesting. I mean, I could kind of see it when I was watching his highlights yesterday, but I'm going to say this right now, and I may be wrong because I was wrong about Grady with this. I don't think that Con Knippel's game, as much as everybody loves it, is going to work in the NBA. I really don't. You know, we can talk about Reed Shepherd last year. Yeah, Reed Shepherd, the hype around Reed Shepherd, and then the reality of Reed Shepherd in the league. I'm just saying, there's certain little guards that they hype so big from the draft. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't trust this guy. I don't think this guy's going to actually translate. It's so much harder for a smaller player to really play the size that they play in college in the NBA. It just is because the league is tougher, it's bigger, it's stronger. And sure, you could do that for Duke, Con Knippel, and playing with Cooper Flagg and Malawatch and the cast that you have around him. But how will you look when you're a 6'4" guy running around on the court against 6'6", 6'7" guys guarding you? Are you going to be able to do any of that? Will you even be able to get your shot off? That's what I'm saying. So I like to think that Con Knippel is going to be a great NBA player, but I don't think it's a sure thing. I don't think it's a sure thing. I think that kid may actually not be an NBA player. He may come up and boom, he doesn't work at that level. He can't do all the magical things he did for Duke in the NBA. Some people are saying, oh, no, you're wrong, Lex. He's crazy good. He's going to be like Chris Mullin. I'm like, I don't believe that bullshit. I'm sorry. I've been too burned on these kind of bullshit kind of things with, you know, little point guards and little guards. And everybody says they're going to be so good because they were so good in college and it doesn't translate. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, if we're talking about guards, I like athleticism. I like guys that get up there. People like John Morant and Shaden Sharp. And there's some guys that are absolute crazy leapers in this league. I would more likely go with a leaper athletic guard than a shooting guard, a guard that's like a good shooter in the NBA, in college. I'd much rather have an athlete, a guy that can jump over everybody at two guard than a guy like Knippel right now. That's just the way I'm thinking right now as far as things. An athlete, a person like Jacoby. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, James, unfortunately, my focus yesterday was not really on guards. It very much was on centers, but I did scout some of the guys around the 9th pick that we may be interested in. I didn't look at Trey Johnson because I'm pretty sure he'll be off the board. But I did look at Denham. I did look at Kasparas. I did look at Knippel. And, I mean, out of those guys, I like Denham the most. He's weird, though, because he's skinny. And I can tell that he is not a physical player. And that's part of the reason why they've been listing him at point guard is because he can't play forward. He's not strong enough. And his game is really kind of outside anyway. It's not like just because Igor Demin is 6'9" doesn't mean he's going to play it forward. He's a guard. He's definitely a guard because that's where he attacks the basket from, is from the outside. So let's see what else you guys are saying in here. James, sorry I didn't look at guards. You know, maybe we'll do a week where I look more at that kind of possibility. In some ways, I'm thinking that like if they do pick a guard or they pick best available at number 9, and it's not for positional need, like what I'm more focused on right now, that they're going to know way better than me as far as things. And Grady Dick is a good example of that because I was completely wrong on Grady. I warned them not to draft Grady, and I was wrong. And I'll admit when I'm wrong on this channel. That's something different than a lot of YouTube channels or politicians or people in this world today. They won't admit when they're wrong. Well, I'll admit when I was wrong, and I was completely wrong on Grady Dick. I made a recommendation the year we drafted Grady not to draft him. They went ahead and drafted him. I said, well, I got to trust Bobby and Messiah. They know better than me. They live on the moon. And, well, I've been very pleasantly surprised and very happy I was wrong because Grady Dick's been fantastic. And his game has translated from Kansas to the Raptors pretty well. So that's why in some ways when I gauge these guards, like I just went over Con Knippel, I'm like, I would say he may be good, but in some ways there are signs that it may not translate. That's what I'll say. I was wrong about Grady. I said that his game would not translate, but it did. It has, and it's been fantastic. And I'm very happy we drafted him. So, yeah, let's keep going. Trevor's saying OKC is the only franchise with 3 MVPs. Yeah, I appreciate that factoid. And I did use it earlier, and Trevor was the source of that factoid I used earlier. SGA is now eligible for Supermax $380 million for 5 years. Aaron Nesmith, 6 threes. He was on fire. Yeah, I like the starting lineup with Nesmith and Nebhard on the court with Turner, Pascal, and Tyrese. Nebhart has been fantastic. He was pretty good last night, and Neesmith was absolutely key last night, for sure, for sure. Yeah, SGA. All right. I watched To the Points clip this week with Coach Roach talking about Giannis trades, and Coach Roach is saying if there's any kind of Giannis to Toronto, Scotty's going to Milwaukee. Well, if that is an absolute essential for a trade to get Antetokounmpo here, it's a non-starter. We're not even going there. That's where I'm on this. There's too much invested in Scott. There's too much roots involved and too much that is fantastic about the whole situation to screw this up just to say it. And Coach Roach is saying, well, he's a top 3 player in the league, in the world right now. You don't pass that up. Well, I don't know. In some ways, I don't believe that just because somebody's the top player that's good for team chemistry or for your team building, that could actually be a negative. It doesn't even matter that if they're the top 3 player in the world, because he won 3rd in the voting in the MVP. It's SGA, Nikola, and then Giannis in the MVP voting. I would not sacrifice Scotty for Giannis. I'm going to stand on this over and over again. I'll say this. If the deal has to be done where Milwaukee's going to demand, because this is what the GM of Milwaukee said about the Giannis sweepstakes, is we're going to gut the team that gets him. That's his literal words. We're going to gut the team that gets him. Like, means they're going to take everything that's good from the team. If you want Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're gutting you. Does that sound like what we want to do to our Raptors team right now just to get Giannis? I'm sorry, it's not worth it. The signs are there that Giannis is washed to a degree too. I know that may have sounded crazy, just what I just said. He's in his prime right now. And that was one of the arguments about Coach Roach is like, look, this guy's one of the top 3 players in the world, and he's in his prime right now. And if you get him, you're challenging for a championship the next 5 years for sure as a team. And I can't defy that logic. He sounds right, Coach Roach. He does. But I was like, at what cost? And what message to your franchise? And does Masai really? I know the move is Kawhi. Then Giannis would be that same thing. But then once again, you're making Scotty into DeMar DeRozan. And you don't want to do that. You really, really don't want to do that. Masai's ruthless. Masai is a businessman. He's also a family guy, and he loves his team, and he treats them like a family. But there is a point where Masai has to be the president of basketball operations, and he has to make really tough decisions that go against his heart. Some of it is trading Siakam, trading LG, not working with Fred, Kyle Lowry. Hello. These are all tough goodbyes. Now, this one's not necessary. That's why I would say, if you really are seriously considering trading Scott for Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bobby Webster, you better really, really make sure that's the right move, because you will gut our team, just like the GM of the Bucks was said. You will gut our team. You will gut our fan nation. You will gut us like Mavericks got gutted with Luka leaving this year. And I'm not totally about that. Like, will Giannis come in and replace what Scotty is? No, he won't. No, he won't. You can think about this. Would he replace what Scotty is for our team? He would not. He's a different kind of leader. He's not as intensively with everybody as a leader. Seriously. Scotty's more personal as a leader. Giannis is probably not as personal. He's a great guy. I'm not dissing Giannis. I'm going to say we've seen the clip of him with the fan giving the jersey to her this week. He's obviously a great person. His words about John Halliburton and what happened with that, he was the better man, the bigger man. But this is different. Scotty is different. Scotty took Jacoby on a shopping spree. Bonded. Scotty and Jonathan, best friends. There's so much about the bonds with Scotty. He sees Masai and they leave at the end of the day. Scotty says to Masai, I love you. He's not afraid to say, I love you to the team president, guys. Seriously. There's a clip of them at All-Star Weekend. This guy's getting ready to get on the court and do stuff for the Raptors as a representative of our franchise. And Masai and him exchange, I love you. I love you. On camera, on open gym, in private moment. I'm telling you, man, that's not common to have that kind of ensconced kind of connection with your franchise, the identity of the city, your teammates, your coach, the staff, the front office, all in syncopation and cohesion together, not anti this, anti that. There's no kind of bullshit, toxic bullshit on our team. I don't know what's going on with the Leafs. Is the toxicness just the media and the fans, or is there toxicness in teammates? Or some of those guys throwing each other in the bus? You're a passenger. No, you're a passenger. No, you're a passenger. Why were you such a passenger on Sunday at Game 7, Mitch? You know, what's going on there? That's not going on with us. The chemistry's off the charts, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to continue to say that philosophy for everybody who's in the Giannis sweepstakes right now. Like, what do? You're going to pull the heart out of our team for this guy, Scotty Barnes, right here? This guy, Scotty, this guy in this bobblehead up here? You want to do that to Scott, who's been absolutely loyal to our team this whole time, for a guy who we have no idea how loyal he would be? Seriously. We don't have any idea how loyal Giannis would be to the Raptors. He had no reason to be loyal to us for sure. You know, he's shown loyalty in Milwaukee, sure. But at a certain point, how loyal will he be to the Raptors? He won't be loyal like to Toronto like Scotty, I'm telling you right now. So that's why I'm really like, if the only way we get Giannis to Toronto is through Scotty going to Milwaukee, I'm not doing it. I'm not even going there. And I bet you in some ways, Masai sees exactly what I just described, the whole thing. And just like all the Raptors fans may be out there saying, oh, Giannis, we can do this, Giannis. And Masai's like, guys, we're not doing this because we're not selling out Scott. We won't sell out Scott. I won't sell out Scott. I promised him, and he's promised me. And we have a promise. And I think that, you know, if we weren't going to trade Scotty Barnes 2 years ago for Kevin Durant, we ain't going to fucking trade him for Giannis now. Seriously. Think about this, guys. You know, Scotty still has the potential to become like Giannis later in his career. And people may be like, whoa, what are you saying that? His scoring average hasn't gone up above 20 yet, Lex. He's been kind of just spinning his wheels the last couple of years. It's not like he's really advanced his game like Cade has or Evan Mobley. Bullshit. He's elevated his game in ways that the common casual will not see. He's elevated his game on defense. That's for damn sure. He's elevated his game on leadership. That's for damn sure. He's elevated his game on low post dominance, where I want to go down there. I can go beat up on little babies whenever I want. Little babies on my back. I'm going to go down and you smoke crack. You know, that's what I'm saying. This Scotty Barnes can do whatever he wants. And this is the thing. Once he masters the defensive part, he gets that down, just like OG went and did defense before he went to offense. Once he masters that defensive part, once he masters that leadership part, don't be surprised when Scotty starts calling his own number. And then he goes into a whole other period of years in his career where he dominates the low post, and he does try and score a lot of points for us. And he does try and carry this team as more of a franchise scorer in some certain ways. Seriously, that's something he can always do later on, guys. Just because he's not aggressively going into that area of expertise and doing stuff on the court doesn't mean he won't do it ever. He's doing what he's doing right now because it's best for Darko's system. He does what coach asks him. That's the most unselfish player you could probably find in the NBA is Scotty Barnes. You know, he's unselfish like Magic Johnson was. Let's just put it that way. Most guys have ego and they're like, yeah, I need to score more than RJ. This is bullshit. How is RJ scoring more than me? Most guys are like that. They tick like that. In some ways, you be an alpha and get to that level in the NBA, you have to be like that. But Scotty's not like that. That's why he's special. And that's why in some ways we need to keep him on this team, because he's the kind of superstar franchise player and glue guy that's going to make everybody else better. And we can get guys like Brandon and RJ and stand them next to him. And it's not a problem. When you bring Giannis in there and you take Scott out, it's a totally different feel, a totally different thing, and a totally different vibe. And it doesn't work exactly the same way. Does Giannis work with Brandon Ingram? I don't know about that. That's why I was saying, if we're going to trade to get Giannis, we got to trade Brandon Ingram. Trade Brandon Ingram. And like I said, the deal I had was Brandon Ingram, Ochai Agbaji, and the 9th pick. You trade those three things for Antetokounmpo. And that's it. You trade those three things right there. Ochai's from Milwaukee. He was born in Milwaukee. In some ways, it probably wouldn't be a big deal for him to go home and play for his hometown team, the Milwaukee Bucks. We love you, Ochai. If you stay on the Raptors, I'll be very happy. I want you on this team. It's not that I don't want you on this team. It's just if we're going to make the draft capital. You know, that's my point with Coach Roach. Coach Roach say, oh, you have to trade Scotty to get Giannis because of the money. That's bullshit. Because first of all, Brandon Ingram's contract's the same as Scotty's. So you could easily say this, Coach Roach. You could say, no, you don't have to trade Scotty. You could trade actually Brandon to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, that's the only way I do it. That's the only way I do it for Giannis. It has to be Ingram. And it's had to be before he even comes and shows up. And they got to take him right now on the extension that we just got him. You know, that's the only way it happens right there. And I hope Raptors fans are listening to me very clearly and understand this whole situation the way I just laid it out about Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes and the reality of it and the reality of Scotty Barnes and the fact that he is a no-go off the table and not even a starter as far as talking about trading him for Giannis. And every single Raptors fan out there that's willing to throw Scotty on the bus to trade him for Giannis right now, shame on you. Shame on you is what I'm saying right now. Seriously. That's that toxic shit in Leaf Nation that I hate. You know, these fans that write this stuff or make YouTube channels or talk about, I would trade RJ Barrett in a heartbeat for this person right now. I hate you. Do you not understand that RJ Barrett is Toronto's own, Toronto's guy, and Scotty Barnes, you trade him in a heartbeat for Giannis? Oh, I hate it. You have no emotional connection to these guys, obviously. Maybe that's a problem. Like, I am emotionally connected to these players, and that may be getting in the way of business and stuff like that. Well, it's the way our team is. We have emotional connections. That's the way we're built. And in some ways, that's the right way to be because you get further that way because you do it for the right reasons. So, man, I know I went on a spiel just now. But yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit of a reply to the great channel To The Point. Y'all watch it, T.O. The Point with King Brian, who's in here all the time. Good evening, good morning, good everybody. You know, and Coach Roach is a fantastic guest. He's very knowledgeable. He's a fantastic guy. I just wanted to give a little reply to the content I watched yesterday from those guys, and just I put them on blast a little bit right here. It's all love. It's all love for the To The Point channel. That's right. It's all love. Let's go. Smooth's here. Good to see Reggie. Wow, Indiana won. I didn't watch, but when I checked the score, it was 106-92 New York, and then fourth. I checked an hour later, and the Pacers win. Incredible. Yeah. The Knicks were in control pretty much the whole entire game, and they choked. You know what they said? They ran out of gas at the end of the game. That's what they said. They let down at the end of the game. They didn't want to, but they let down the energy at the end of the game. And the Pacers pounced on it. This is, I mean, we talk about this, man. Depth. Running your team to the ground, Tom Thibodeau. Playing your starters too much. Not playing Precious ever. Why do you not play Precious? Put Precious out there. He's good for 6 fouls. Why don't you use him? He's energy. He's athletic. He can do stuff. Why don't you play Precious? No, he's going to play 7 guys, and that's it. Well, you play 7 guys. You get involved in overtime, so you're going to get tired. And you're going to get to the point where you rein your team to the ground before they can actually get to Larry O'Brien. And I think that's what's going to happen. I really do think that. I think that the Pacers have 10 deep, and they're playing 10 deep still. And the Knicks playing 7 or 8 deep is going to be the thing that shoots them in the foot. And they're tired. They're tired. They even gave them all this rest between the last round. They gave them they didn't play since last Friday. And they were still too tired to finish the game against the Pacers. They're in trouble. I'm going to tell you that right now. If they, this is the game where they're supposed to be fresh and hitting it. And Rick Carlisle and them figured it out. Ooh, they're in trouble. The Pacers are a weird team, man. I'm really digging them right now. And the fact that they pulled this off, like Smooth said, he checked the score. He's like, wow, it looks like the Knicks are going to get game 1. And then he checked an hour later, and he's like, holy crap, it's totally not what happened. Yeah, I had this similar reaction. I was watching, I was like, okay, it looks like the Knicks are going to win this game. And then you check back later, and all of a sudden, boom. Wait, what? The Pacers won in overtime? Holy cow. That's amazing. Let's talk about tonight's game. Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. The referees for tonight are interesting. We got some top-notch refs. 2 refs that we love up here in Toronto, and 1 ref we really hate. And the crew chief is Scott Foster. Scott Foster is the crew chief tonight for Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. Scott Foster favors the Minnesota Timberwolves, just so y'all know. He has a better record with the Timberwolves than the Thunder. Tony Brothers. You got the 2 marquee referees. Tony Brothers is the referee tonight. Tony Brothers favors the Oklahoma City Thunder heavily. His record with the Timberwolves is awful, and it's pretty damn good with the OKC Thunder. So Brothers favors the Thunder. Foster favors the Timberwolves. The third ref is our favorite ref, our ref of the year for the Raptors. We went 5-1 under Pat Frayer this season in games. Pat Frayer, you were awesome, man. The Raptors were 5-1 record in 6 games ref by you this year. Fantastic. Pat Frayer of Minnesota is favoring Oklahoma City, guys. Yeah, he doesn't show favoritism for his home state, which is interesting. The Timberwolves, he gives them a hard time. So this is a crew that's more favorable to the Thunder tonight. And that wasn't totally the case in game one. It was very much more favoring the Timberwolves in some ways. So Scott Foster is a saving grace for Minnesota tonight. The alternate referee is going to be JB DeRosa. And in the replay center, it's the golden voice of Bill Kennedy. So, yeah, they got some top-notch people involved in this game. I'm serious. Foster, Brothers, and Frayer, along with Bill Kennedy in the replay center, they're in good hands tonight for this NBA game in game 2 tonight. Yeah, Scott Foster even. Scott Foster. Smooth saying, I'm also in off-season mode, not watching games, but checking scores. Yeah, in some ways, it's just like it's been such a long season. You know, if the Raptors were involved still, I'd be on a microscope watching this whole thing, keeping it so like detailed and watching it all. But, you know, the Raptors aren't involved. I'm done for the year. And I'm in off season, and Smooth's with me right now. But if the Pacers advance, I'll watch the finals. Yeah, we want to see a Siakam kick some ass. Wouldn't this be interesting if the Siakam and the Pacers get to the finals, which I hope they do, and Siakam outshines Halliburton, and he is the MVP of the finals. What? Just like Jaylen Brown being MVP over Jason Tatum last year. Seriously, if Halliburton has, all right, listen to this situation. They get to the finals and they beat the Thunder somehow, or the Timberwolves, doesn't matter which side. And Halliburton has stinky games in the middle of the finals where he kind of stinks the bed and just doesn't shoot well in a couple games. But Siakam is solid all games of the final series. And they can make an argument for him to be the finals MVP. It's not likely. It's very likely the MVP will want to pin Tyrese Halliburton with the MVP if they won. But is there a world and an outcome where Pascal Siakam gets named the NBA Finals MVP for this year's playoffs? Is there a world where this happens? I'm wondering. I would like to live in this world. As in some ways, it'll look really good. You got Kawhi Leonard getting the Finals MVP with the Raptors. The second banana was Pascal Siakam, and now 6 years later, he's in the finals again. He wins another championship, and this time he's the Finals MVP. Ooh, I'd love to see that on his resume. Oh, Pascal, that's right. He's a GOAT. We're gonna see this. I hopeful of that. Seymour saying this. Call in. Yeah, call in. The line is open. If you call in, I will take your call and put you on the air on speakerphone, and we can hear your voice. If you like any of the subjects I've been talking about today, Leaf Nation and Brad Marchand and what he said about the Leafs fans, you want to talk about my whole spiel about Scotty and Giannis? You want to talk about the draft stuff I talked about at the beginning of the stream already? Anything's on the table. Common Malawach, Maxime Rano. It's all on the table. You can call the Rat and Freak channel. That's right. That's right. Let's go. All right, let's see what's going on here. Also in the chat, more comments. Nice to see so many names and so many people in the comments today. Good stuff. We've had some new people coming in lately, and I appreciate all the new subscriptions and all the new people coming in. All right, wow, I got a lot of ground to cover. I know I've been taking a long time just talking myself, but yeah, we got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to get through it all. Don't worry, I will do it. Let's see. We're at Seymour. Smooth saying Dallas beat Edmonton 6-3. I hate to see this. Yeah, the Western Conference Stanley Cup Finals. Dallas Stars beat the Edmonton Oilers pretty bad in game one. I don't like seeing this. The Oilers are our last chance, and we need them to get through and get to the finals and beat the team in the finals this year. Last year they lost in the finals. I didn't like that. So Edmonton, let's go get this cup, man. Seriously, Canada needs it, man. Canada needs it. Trevor's saying Charles Barkley's Knicks do not have the legs to keep up with the fast Indiana team. That's what Barkley's saying. Man, Barkley's awesome, man. Sometimes he says out-of-pocket stuff, but for the most part, Barkley is a straight shooter, true teller, and I appreciate Charles Barkley for this. He's not taking the bulletin points from the NBA office and just running with them. He sees what he sees, and he says what he says, and that's why he goes outside the box and gives some shine to Pascal Siakam when other people aren't. And I appreciate Sir Charles for that. That's right. Kaz is here. Good morning, Lex and crew. Good morning to you, Trucker Kaz. Hope you're doing well in your fantasy WNBA week so far. G saying, I watched the Indiana game. Indiana is sneaky dangerous, especially in the last 3 minutes. Pascal plays a nice role. Don't force anything. Hallie with his choke celebration, I liked against the Knicks. Yeah, I like it, but I think it's premature. I think, man, don't do that now. It's just game one, man. You have so much work to do. And if y'all lose this series, Pacers, That what you did last night, Tyrese, is going to come back to haunt you. I'm telling you right now. It's going to come back to haunt you. And in some ways, it may have felt good in that moment, but it may come back to haunt you and it won't feel good in the future. So come on, man. You can't do this. You can't give them bulletin board fodder. Don't give them any more egging on to try and kick your ass in the next couple games. In some ways, you don't do this, man. Don't show them up. Don't be like your dad. Seriously. It's a bad look. That it would have been fine if you beat them in game 7, you're done. Do it then. Do it then. Don't do it now, Tyrese. It's too early for you to do that choke move. I'm just saying. I hope it doesn't come back to haunt you, is what I'm saying right now. Don't do it. You don't need to do it now. It's too soon, bro. You did that too soon. You shot your shot too soon on the choke thing. Seriously, I'm telling you right now. Seymour saying F CMB, F Queen. We don't need to say that exactly. I mean, they're nice young men. I'm sure they're going to do what they're going to do. But in some ways, I'm saying not in Toronto. That's what we're saying at this point. Don't worry about the taxes up here, Queen, because I'm more worried about you getting overweight like Williamson. That's right. Yeah. You go and get drafted by Zion Williamson and the Pelicans and go get on the meal plan with Zion. And we'll see what your career is like, Derek Queen. That's right. That's right. Pacers versus Thunder is going to be entertainment. I hope that is the finals. In some ways, it's the perfect finals matchup at the beginning of the playoffs that I wanted. I'm serious. These are the two teams I wanted in the playoff finals this year in the NBA. I was like, man, if Indiana can get to the finals, that'd be awesome. But I really didn't think that was likely because of Boston and Cleveland. Well, Boston and Cleveland got out of the way. And it's a lot more likely Indiana is going to be in the finals now. And then SGA and the Thunder, I never doubted y'all. I thought that y'all would be going through the West like you are, because that's what y'all look like with your record this year and how high a level y'all are playing. That will be an epic battle. And I love the Canadian content in it. Once again, you're going to have Andrew Nebhard and Benedict Mathurin going up against SGA and Lou Dort. And let's count honorary Canadian Pascal Siakam. You know, and you're going to love it, man. Nebhard and SGA in particular will be a lot of fun to watch. Seriously. The Team Canada stuff is beautiful when we get to see guys that love each other play against each other. I love Jamal Murray coming up to SGA after they got beat and saying, bring it home to the 6. I love that. I love that so much. I love that so much. Yeah. G saying Neesmith hit like 5 threes in a row, something crazy like that. He was 8 of 9 from 3. He was a 14th pick. We were good at 9. Well, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Randolph's here. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. The sun is never jealous of the stars. It knows its brightness capacity. You will not go through life without contending with jealous people. Wow, that's a deep words of wisdom. You know, it's weird, though, because the sun is one and the same with the stars, because isn't the sun a star? Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. That's right. We get Mala Watch. Check, check, check. I hope so. I mean, the chances of getting Mala Watch are still there, but, you know, the option that somebody will grab them before us, we'll have to see. I mean, I kind of see it as a 50-50 chance right now that he'll either get picked before us or we'll get him. But, yeah, we're pretty overtly coveting Common Mala Watch. So the Brooklyn Nets want to be little dicks. They could just take them the pick before us. I mean, it's pretty well known that in some ways, Masai Ujiri, Africa, hello. We just got Shamshe, you know, in some ways it's pretty obvious that, you know, we may have sights on Common. And if there are teams ahead of us in the draft that want to mess that up or they like Common a lot themselves, well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I still recommend that Common Mala Watch is who the Raptors should pick if he's available at 9 right away. Just take him. If he's there, don't even think twice. Take him. Take him. That's right. G saying, even in the WNBA, there's a rookie from France on Seattle. She's very young and raw, like Shamshe, but she can legit dunk. Another one on Seattle, she is a sharpshooter. Wemby went to watch. Yeah, I have Gabby on my team, on my fantasy team right now, who represented France at the Olympics last year. Of course, she's American-born, but she uses her French heritage to play for France. But yeah, the French Revolution in basketball is a real thing. I mean, I thought, okay, Victor is an anomaly. He's like a freak that just came from nowhere, and he just happened to be in France. But no, there's something in the water in France right now. You know, I don't know if it's the water. There's, you know, in Paris, there's a lot of pigeons pooping, and there's weird stuff. I don't know. They eat a lot of cheese. They drink a lot of wine. Maybe it's this. I have a theory on this, okay? And hear me out. Some of y'all may be like, you're crazy, Lex. All right. And some of this may be borderline conspiracy theory, but there's some truth to this. All right. You know, a lot of the problem with growing and being strong and growing tall is nutrition. And I really sincerely think that the United States, especially with this new administration that's cut all these jobs in the FDA, they do not have proper food for the masses in the United States. I think that people in the United States have all kinds of health problems, and even their children are not growing up properly because nutrition is not important in that country. So many people that eat McDonald's just for every day. So many people eating just junk food and thinking it's real food. And they're not actually eating good food. They're eating laboratory made food full of chemicals and additives and things that just naturally human beings should not eat. What if the French people are coming out bigger and bigger because they actually eat real food? Like, could it be that basic? That the ecosystem for a Victor Wembanyama to be developed and grown is because France actually hasn't got shit food? I mean, seriously. One of the weird things about my new thing about buying Canadian only here in Canada that I'm finding is that I'm eating more healthier food because I'm shunning American products. In some ways, I may be eating more quality food because I'm primarily eating Canadian bought products or from other countries. And that, and byproduct of me avoiding American products because of the tariffs and the trade war we're in right now, I'm actually getting healthier because I'm not eating American garbage. I mean, seriously, there's a lot of sense to what I'm saying that makes sense, right? That you grow from what you eat. And why are all these huge guys coming from France all of a sudden? Is it the water or is it the food? Is it the fact that they have nutrition? And that, you know, it could also be this. I was thinking about this. France, geographically, where it's located with Africa and even Eastern Europe, in some ways is a hub. Like, you know, immigrant people will come to France because in some ways they don't have totally restrictive immigration policies like some of the other European countries. And that, you know, there's some mingling of the culture and the nutrition of France, along with genetics and people from other parts of the world that's coming in. You know, like somebody like Dennis Schroeder, right? Dennis Schroeder is from Germany, and but his family's from Africa, but he's a German guy, but he's a great German basketball player. And in some ways, he was raised in Germany. He had the luxuries of the society there with the culture and the food, and he's healthy. I'm just saying, could that be the Venn diagram meet of nutrition and geographic location of France as far as migration is part of the reason why we're having such a great boon of so many great French players coming into the NBA right now? Seriously. I mean, I'm wondering, I mean, this is me kind of thinking, you know, does Chris Boucher get into the NBA if he doesn't move from St. Lucia to Montreal, guys? Think about this. That's another thing. In some ways, you get the gateway and the foot in the door easier if you're coming from inside North America or Europe than Africa. I mean, Masai's kicking the door down to help Africans come straight into the league, like Shamshe. But before, to get to the United States in the NBA, you had to be like Giannis and go to Greece and then come over from there. So I think that that's part of it. I think that immigration has been very helpful to Canada with their national team and France. And in some ways, that's an argument for why immigration is a great thing, because you bring people from all around the world. You have diversity and you have the ability to have all kinds of great things happen because of it. I'm just saying. Anyway, that's my little spiel. I'll get off the soapbox on my reasoning or thinking. Why is France such a bad-ass hotbed of basketball talent right now? Why is that right now? Why is that? I'm wondering that right now. There is a Serbian player that is in the second round named Markovic, who's a center, that I looked at, and I was like, you know, this is the kind of person that Darko needs to know about. He knows about him probably very well. And if he showed up on our team somehow with the 39th pick, I would say that's because Darko knows this kid already and that he would like him to be on this team, being from Serbia. We know Darko's got all the tabs on his home country and the talent coming from there. It's almost like we got some areas covered Masai's watching NBA Africa League, and Darko's watching Serbia, and maybe some of the other European countries around there, Spain too, I'll bet, since he has such a history there. So if they picked a guy, I forget what his name is, Markovic, I would say that's a thumbs up from Darko, and that he specifically requested Masai to draft this guy at 39. I didn't like him, though. I looked at him, and it was kind of like, he doesn't play like a center. He plays more like a forward. And the other thing about him, the Markovic kid, is that he reminds me too much of Alexei Poku. A little bit too much of the slender man, Alexei Poku, who kind of came and went through Oklahoma City Thunder's program. You know what I'm talking about, Poku. Yeah. Let's see what else y'all are saying here. Tristan Trey's here. He's back in the house. Well, what a goddamn game last night. Yeah, it's pretty good, Tristan, from what I hear. Seymour saying it's just another name that the U.S. media will not advertise due to it not being American or English name. Malawatch will have an experience just like Siakam, overlooked. I don't know, man. He got pretty good at a blast for this NCAA tournament. In some ways, he's kind of a little bit more known just because of being on Duke. I mean, those will prop people up and get them known real fast. Seriously. I don't know. Let's not pigeonhole. I think if Common does come to Toronto, yeah, you're right. But if he got drafted to a big market team, like say the Brooklyn Nets draft him, they might put him on blast a little bit. But you're probably right. He's probably not a big marketable star. He's not going to be like Jason Tatum, where they're going to put him on NBA advertising all over the place. It probably will be overlooked. You're probably right. Stargate saying, I believe the league is going to force one of those first 8 teams to pick Common just so the Raptors don't get him, because we know what we can make him. Man, I know sometimes I feel like you're too paranoid with your conspiracy theories, Stargate. I don't want to believe that. I mean, it may be true, not because the NBA told them, but more like the Brooklyn Nets and Jordy Fernandez is like, man, we can't have our division rival get Common, and we need to take him before. It could be more like that. I don't think it's Adam Silver from the head office. It's more likely that teams that are in competition with us directly, like the Brooklyn Nets, will make that decision because of that. In some ways, does that make sense? Let's see. Slug saying Asa looks like he dunks everything in the paint. Yeah. The thing is that he's got inside and out. Like, he has a nice 3. That's the thing that puts him ahead for me and second on the list, is that 3 looks very steady and very rock solid. And it looks like it will be he'll be a legitimate stretch big, that he will be able to do stuff inside in the post, but also he can shoot the 3 from the outside. And like I said, they may be listing him at forward, but because of his age and his height already, I could see him growing a little bit more, and he could be a true center at some point. Asa Newell. That's why I'm really liking him, man. James is saying Asa reminds me of Marvin Bagley. Yeah. Happy Thursday to you, Daniel Barry, Sports Highlights. Always good to see you check in. Stargate saying, yes, Noah gave me Brandon Ingram vibes immediately. Yeah, Noah Senge, he's intriguing, man. I'm glad that James brought him to me this week, and I looked at him because honestly, like I said, there was something about him that he had a little bit of like a aura around him, like Rudy Gobert a little bit. Maybe it's a little lumbersome, but then some of his offensive moves are very BI KD kind of stuff. Like, he's got the same kind of frame, the skinny shoulder, like, and then the long arms, like, and the shot is very reminiscent of Durant and Ingram. In some ways, I'm wondering if he like actually copied some of those guys. Like, seriously, I could see Noah Senge replicating Kevin Durant and like using him as a template to try and be more like. Seriously, I got to see that. Seymour saying, man, when I saw SGA and Lou Dort dapping it up in that film room, I was so happy for them. I felt like I was there in the moment too, dapping them up. Canada. That's the thing, man. Listen, if Edmonton doesn't get the Stanley Cup Finals and Canada ain't got something to root for in there, well, listen, Canadians, let's get behind our guy SGA. Let's get behind our guy Lou Dort. Let's get behind Benedict and Andrew too, because this is going to be a very high-level Canadian content NBA Finals, I have a feeling. It really is. And if it's not them, well, we got Canadian on Minnesota with Nickel. And, I'm trying to think. Who's Canadian on the Knicks? Maybe nobody. Maybe there's the one team, there's not Canadian at all. It's the Knicks right there. Yeah, I love that too. That's national pride. And you know what, Canada? In some ways, we've not been a very patriotic country, but when we get pushed in a corner, we are. In fact, let's do the straight goods on Canadian goods. Yesterday I did Earl's. fine dining restaurant. And well, in the same company, there's something called Cactus Club. And our players like to go there. In fact, Jamal Shed was at Cactus Club just last week watching the Leaf playoff game at Cactus Club in downtown Toronto. But Cactus Club is a Canadian company, Cactus Club Cafe. There are 34 locations across Canada within BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario. And yeah, it's a part of the family of restaurants that Earl's is under, owned by the Fuller family. The Fuller family has owned a couple of Joey restaurants, Earl's restaurants, and the Cactus Club. And one of the cool things about Cactus Club is that they hired the winner of Iron Chef America that was Canadian, Rob Feeney, to come in and make specialty items on their menu. So you could come in and get a specialty item from a celebrity chef from Iron Chef America, Rob Feeney, that won. He was a Canadian that won it. And those dishes are on the menu under the initials RF. So that's kind of cool. RF, like Raptor Freak. That's right. There you go. But yeah, Cactus Club is Canadian, y'all. And if you are able to go there and afford it, just like our NBA Raptors, you should, because it's it's a good place. It's fun and nice and classy. So there you go. A little high-end Canadian goods, Cactus Club. And on the Canadian scale ranking of how Canadian it is, it's like an 8 out of 10, which is pretty damn good. They have a site that I found that rates all businesses on how Canadian they are, as far as like where they get their source of material that they sell, and whether they're Canadian owned, and whether they're mostly Canadian. And there's a score on there. And some of the restaurants are like 10s, 9s, and 8s, and some of them are like 1s and 2s. It's like Ruth Chris Steakhouse. That's a 2 on the Canadian scale. So if you like to eat at Ruth Chris, know that you're not supporting Canada. But if you want to eat at Earl's, you're getting an 8 on the 10 scale as far as how Canadian that restaurant is. So Cactus Club is my choice today, a recommendation, just like the Raptors will go to Cactus Club. I've heard some of them mention Cactus Club as one of their favorite restaurants in Toronto. So yeah, there's your Canadian content, the straight goods on Canadian goods for today. Cactus Club, putting them on blast. That's right. Stargate saying Fleming would be the perfect backup for Scotty. So many options. I like that he's bulky. I like that he's athletic. And I like that, and like I said, once again, he's young, and some of these guys could grow a little bit. Yeah, Rasheer Fleming is an interesting prospect, and he is on my 10 list to draft. Yeah, he's a green light guy on my book right there. That's right. Fleming is a plug and play, immediately play the backup 4. Yeah, that's another thing too, is a lot of discussion about the difference between the 9th pick and the 39th pick is, when you get later in the draft, they can be projects. And maybe that's why we should draft the center at 39 as a backup. But in some ways, we do need to plug in and play right now for this year. And on the 9th pick, that's usually a player that you need to be able to utilize right away on your team. They can't be like a project or somebody who's coming up. And Fleming would be able to do that. He would be able to do that. It's weird because I've seen Fleming go as far in the draft as like 27th in mock drafts. And I'm like, holy crap. But then some people think he's like a 10th pick. So he has quite a range on the mock drafts from pretty much from like 10th to 29th. And that's why I kind of think that in some ways, if Masai and Bobby really like Rasheer Fleming, it wouldn't be a reach to pick him at 9, because some people see him like that too. They see him as high as like 10, James is saying Noah's interesting as well. Yeah. Those are the 2 smallest players on my list. They're technically forwards and they're not centers, but in some ways they play big enough defensively that they will cover up the things that I want for our team from this draft. And that is more defense up front to help Jakob and Scott. That's what we need. We need more guys like Jonathan and Ulrich to help shore it up in some ways. That's right. Fiercey's here. Good to see Fiercey. Yeah, you saying Fleming needs to be bulking up like Giannis. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Fiercey saying, good morning, fam, and happy Thursday. Congratulations to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Well-deserved. Yeah, he's celebrating by honoring his wife. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander coming out with a new pair of shoes called Hail Clay. And that's her name, Haley. And the color of her eyes is clay. So he made one of his butter shoes. He made it into the color of her eyes. So he has a special tribute to his wife, Haley, of making his signature shoe in the color of her eyes, which is clay. It's very sweet, man. It's very, very sweet. These guys, this family lives a whole level of lifestyle and lavishness that I will never know. But man, SGA and his wife, what a beautiful fairy tale. That's what I'm saying right now. That's right. Eye candy is here, and Seymour has seen it. That's right. Seymour, you see her. Seymour saying also, we don't need Rocco. Huh? What? We don't need Rocco. The only reason why I said this is the man can get around at 7'4". It would be interesting to see what Rocco would do. I think if this is my caveat on Rocco is on my eye test, he looks fine. But I don't know what Ujiri's eye test says about Rocco Zierkowski. I don't know what he says. He may say, oh, he's too slow. Raptors freak, you're crazy, man. Rocco from Australia, he just looks faster because he's in Australia with plumbers. That's why he looks faster, Raptors freak. You need to understand that. He looks faster because he's running around with plumbers down in Australia, Australian plumbers. If somebody wants to say plumber league, it's Australia, NBL. I'm sorry, that's just true in some ways. Stargate saying no to Queen, no to Murray Boyles, and in my opinion, no to Rocco. So you guys don't like me saying a thumbs up on Rocco. Well, like I said, he's like my he's my 8th pick on 10. And he's really like, he's a stretch at 39th. Of course, you don't pick him at 9th. But if Rocco is somebody that they picked at 39th, I'll be like, okay. So maybe I was right about this because the great Ujiri sees it too. So we'll have to see. I mean, some boards have Rocco not getting drafted. Some boards have him going like, where is he? Where is his range on the mock drafts I looked at? He had an interesting range. Okay, so 46th by ESPN, 53rd by Bleacher Report, 47 by Tankathon, and 35 by Draft Room. And the rest of them didn't even rank him, man. So it's not like his average draft position in the mock drafts is 45. So it's kind of like this thing. It's like, all right, he's going to be available probably on our late pick. And if we really need to get a center and he's available, well, he's one of the choices that I would recommend if he is available still then, if we really need to get a center at 39. But you guys may be right. Y'all are like not about Rocco. Interesting. It's interesting. Y'all look at my spreadsheet. The link is there if you want to look and see how I laid things out as far as like what I was looking at with the mock drafts and my Lexus 5 draft recommendations. Excuse me. Stargate saying, I'm only watching the fourth quarters of these games if they're close. Other than that, I'm not really interested in watching refs not calling blatant carries and traveling. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own level of watching the playoffs and keeping up with it. There's so many games. I know Trevor's watching every single bit of it, man. It's every single bit of it. Y'all. All right, let's see. Fiercely saying, hi, Seymour. Good to see Eye Candy and Seymour Pape, the sheriff, interacting on a Rapid Freak stream. Always good. Seymour saying, kicking the dog while it's down is low in my opinion. But hey, it's sports. Somebody got to win, somebody got to lose. Talking about the choke stuff, yeah. Imagine walking up and being in a negative state so early in the day. Laugh out loud. Thank God my life is nice. Man, I don't know if you're referencing the Leaf stuff I was talking about or something else. But either way, man, I'm glad that NHL people are calling out Leaf Nation right now and telling them, look into yourselves in the mirror, seriously. And if any of you guys consider yourself Leaf Nation, I'm sure you're aware of this toxic stuff. And I don't know how you fix it. In some ways, it's sadly the culture. That's the thing. And then that's why, in some ways, on this channel, for the Raptor Freaks, Raptors, I wanted to build a culture that's not toxic, that's supportive, and also very positive, and for the team in positive ways to help them win. Making it more clear and understood and educated instead of more confusing and weird with demands and like, we should trade this person. Fan nations can get their torches and pitchforks out for people way too soon in situation. They can make things worse, honestly. In some ways, we can look at Vince Carter and what happened with him here in Toronto, and the fans made things worse with the relations between Vince Carter and the Raptors. It was confusing. We didn't understand things. And sure, Rob Babcock was an idiot, and so was Richard Petty. And the coaching carousel that Vince had to deal with and all that kind of stuff, yeah, that added to it. But the fans being like confused because Doug Smith's reporting weird shit in the Toronto Star did not help the situation. It did not help the situation at all. And that's why, on things like the Giannis sweepstakes, it's really good to be educated and on top of things and understand things. Like, let's think about how Scott feels about all this. How much does he enjoy seeing Raptors Digest put out new videos about how they were going to trade him for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, who would want to hear this from his own fan nation, that he's playing his ass off and trying his damnedest to do the best he can for the Raptors? He's very committed to it, and I believe he is. I don't think he's slacking. He ain't doing nothing like Nico accused Luka of. No, he ain't. And we don't need this kind of energy in our fan nation like the Leafs have. Seriously. Like, who the hell are y'all, Leafs Nation? What do you deserve? Seriously, I don't care that you haven't won a Stanley Cup since the 60s. Who the hell are y'all? Y'all are so demanding and so this and that. You just shut up and get what you get. If you had that attitude a little bit better, you might have gotten past the Florida Panthers by now. But y'all put so much pressure on your team and your players that they are destined to fail because y'all are the way you are. Fans of the Leafs. I'm telling you, this is the damn truth. I've seen that energy, and that's why I want to denounce that energy in our own fan nation and reject it and set a role model of myself and you guys of how you should be a fan for your team and support it unconditionally and care about your team. You know what? That's the dichotomy right there. Leafs are throwing beers on the court and yelling and booing at their fans. We lose to LeBron and LeBronto again in the playoffs. And what do our fans do? We stand up and clap for our team and cheer for them, even though they just failed and lost. And LeBron James is on the phone, on the microphone saying, "Can you hear this? Can you believe this? These fans are the best. They're amazing. They just lost." And they're giving them applause. That's something you could learn, Leaf Nation. And maybe you'd be more successful. Because what happened a couple years after we showed love and applause unconditionally to our team after they failed against the great LeBron James? They won a championship in 2019. You ain't doing something right, Leaf Nation. You won't try anything to get that Stanley Cup back in Toronto, right? Well, maybe you need to look in the mirror and start changing yourself, Leaf fans. And that might get you the Stanley Cup back here faster. I'm serious. Go soul searching. Stop blaming everything else. Start blaming yourself. How about that? Sorry, I'm goofy, man. I know I'm goofy. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, Fiercely saying, so I was wondering why East Finals started after the West. I now wondering why the Knicks had home court advantage. Is it because they had a higher seed? If it goes to Game 7, will be at MSG. Yes, and yes. All of that's true. The Knicks have a better record than the Pacers this season. That's why they have home court advantage. It's always decided by record, and the Knicks had more wins than the Pacers did this year. And that's why they get home court. That's it. And Game 7, if there is a Game 7, will be played in New York. That's right. That's all right there. I have no idea why they started the East after the West, though. That was weird to me. They should have started the East before the West because the Eastern teams were free before SGA and them played Game 7. It may have been just the way they scheduled it all along that they had to do it that way. Like I said, it probably had something to do with concerts at MSG and other arenas that they already had slated in. You know, there's different conflicts of interest with the arena scheduling things. It could very well be that there were a couple of shows at MSG on Monday and Tuesday, and they couldn't have the Game 1 until Wednesday. Something like that. It could be. Wayne's here. Morning, Raptor Freaks. Knicks Pacers was fantastic last night to the very end. Lexicon, please don't get too excited about Leafs Nation. We don't care, and we are protective of our impressionable rookie. You know, I'm with you on this. In some ways, this is necessary, though, because, listen, I know that we share a big, huge swath of fans with Leaf Nation, Raptors Nation, and we should. We're the same city. We play in the same arena. People that are general sports fans in Toronto, well, they're going to probably be a Leaf fan and a Raptors fan, and that's natural, and that should be that way. It's just that part of the issues I've had as a Raptors fan for 30 years is people coming into Raptor spaces with Leaf energy, Leaf fan energy. And I could say this right now, the toxicness of Leaf fan nation is a big, huge part of why Raptors Nation can be toxic, is because they come in with the same kind of bullshit into our circles that they treat the hockey circles. And that don't fly with me because, first of all, half of them don't know basketball like they know, we know basketball. Most of them are hockey first, and they kind of come in and try and apply hockey logic to basketball things. First of all, if you're trying to GM the NBA through Masai Ujiri and you only know hockey better, don't try and apply your logic for how you run an NHL team to an NBA team. Y'all don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Seriously, that's a big problem right there. And then second, it's basically being disrespectful to the players and the organization in different ways. Look, I get it. Y'all are upset and mad because the Leafs haven't won in so fucking long. But that doesn't mean y'all need to act out towards us or our team. Seriously, if you have any kind of toxic behavior that you engage in Raptors spaces, partly because that's the way you are as a Toronto sports fan, get over yourself. You're exactly who I've been ranting against this whole entire stream right now. Nobody is just handed things, earned, not given. That was the whole mantra of the Raptors championship year of 2019. Earned, not given. There's so many Leaf fans that want everything just given to them. And y'all are in the way. I'm just going to say that. And in some ways, Wayne's like, we don't need to talk about Leafs. It's a waste of time. Well, I wanted to jump on this opportunity because in the press, the players have been talking about how toxic the Leaf fans are. And in some ways, this is apropos to what's going on right now because Marchand is calling them out for it. And I believe he's right. I think that the Maple Leafs are losing because of their fans and the media and the pressure that they put on them. And that it's not fair to the Maple Leafs players themselves. It's not even them. It's the whole culture of the Leafs. It's the whole culture. It's just going to shoot itself in its foot and not allow it to be successful because of these people that are in the fan nation. I'm telling you right now, that's it. And I want to keep them separated. And we've done a good job. We've had good success with the Raptors. And all that bullshit that they say about the Leafs and their first round woes, and they start bringing up the C word. Fuck that. There ain't nothing about no C word that has to do with the Raptors. Y'all may be C worded, but we are not. We are not. That's right. That's right. Seymour saying, yes, Fiercey, game 7 is in MSG if there's game 7. That's right. Being a Leaf is like playing for the Yankees, man. Yeah. It's thankless and you're over scrutinized. And if you could make the same money in a smaller market where nobody's going to pay attention to you, boy, that's more attractive. Seriously. Seriously, boy, that's attractive. You know, in Florida, they don't give them half this attention at all. NHL is totally on the back burner. In some ways, they don't even pay attention to Heat like they used to anymore. Nobody's paying attention to sports in Miami. They're at the clubs. They're at the beach. They're living other lives. They're living that, whatchamacallit, that guy who's saying all this, the best in music. He's living that life. You're living that life like Trevor J. And in some ways, people don't even show up to Heat games until like halftime almost because it's not a priority. What do you think they pay attention to Panthers? You think the Panthers have any of the attention or media scrutiny or fan toxicness or over magnifying glass like the Leaf Nation does? No. Panthers can operate and do what they need to do with hardly any of that kind of pressure. And that may be part of the big difference in how the outcome happens when Panthers play Maple Leafs in the playoffs. Is the Panthers have none of this pressure. The media in Florida, they're probably very fair to them. And Panther fans are probably just normal fans that just like root for their team. They may be older snowbirds that move down there or like come down for the summer or the winter. You know, the Canadians that live in Florida or something like that. Who knows? But they ain't going through the things that the Leafs are going through. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. The Panthers got it easy, man. I'm telling you right now. Or Dallas Cowboys, that's another one. Yeah, the Lakers, that's another one. The Knicks, that's another one. I'm telling you. Smooth saying some guys are built for the pressure. Some aren't. That's all. Some people want it, and they'll get in it, and they'll thrive in it. But, man, finding that right combination in Maple Leafs, it's not working yet. It's not working, and it's not figuring it out. It is what it is. I think that Wayne's right. I need to move on from the Leafs on the stream, though. Let's see. Seymour saying exactly, but if they ain't a fan or don't watch the sport, they would have no clue of the fact of the matter. 100 dunks for Smooth. You want 100 dunks for Smooth? This is such a weird request. And in some ways, Smooth is just he's been a MVP on this channel. He's been solid for a long, long time. He's one of the best. He's the trivia champion right now. He's ahead in the trivia. He's probably going to win. You know what? I'm going to do this. This is a crazy request. I'm actually going to give 100 points on the dunk chart to Smooth right now. You're at 130 all of a sudden. You had 30 points on the dunk charts. And now, because Seymour just said this out of the blue, I'm going to give 100 points to him because he requested it. The sheriff said it. You get it. 130 on the dunk charts for Seymour. For Smooth Brown Man. Boom goes the dynamite. Tristan saying, I think Jalen spent too much time in the WWE. The way he grabbed Neesmith's arm to smack him in his own face. I think it's hilarious that those guys did that. And I think it's hilarious that they're playing in the Eastern Conference Finals now. You know, Jalen Brunson hurt himself when he did that wrestling. He like rolled into the ring and he hit his elbow on the ring. The ring's a lot harder than people think. They think it's a big trampoline, but it can be dangerous. And if you don't know what you're doing on it, how to hit your back when you fall and stuff like that, you can hurt yourself. All he did was roll underneath the ring rope to get into the ring, and he hurt himself. And that injury on the down low did hurt the Knicks. Seriously, he had to miss time partly because he was screwing around cosplaying as a wrestler. That's something nobody brings up. It's like they just love Jalen Brunson so much that they don't care that he got hurt screwing around in a WWE ring. Like, seriously, he did hurt himself. Seriously, he did hurt himself. Wayne saying Pacers last night win was on the performance of Neesmith. We love Spicy P, but honestly, the win belongs to Aaron. Great news for SGA and OKC. You reminded us of their 17 losing streak seasons, by the way, before. Man, it's awesome, man. I'm glad that they didn't do a swerve and that SGA did win the MVP. The voting came out pretty good. 71 first place votes for SGA, 29 for Joker. All the first place votes between Nikola and SGA. And they got all the votes between everybody for second place too. They seriously, if Joker wasn't first on your ballot, he was second. And SGA, if he wasn't first on your ballot, he was second. And then Giannis, a very distant third in the MVP voting. Yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff indeed. Jason Tatum fourth in the voting. Blah, blah. Tristan saying that's true. The Neesmith flurry of threes was crazy. I did notice Pascal found him on a lot of those. You know, listen, Siakam, he's going to do the thing I love about what Siakam's saying around this playoffs, and really part of the reason why he's a drive of the success of the Indiana Pacers is, once again, he has the treasure map. He understands how to get to the treasure at the end. This is the Larry O'Brien, because he went there with Kawhi to get that. And, you know, he can teach these guys and tell them this is what it takes, man. And like when we did this in Toronto, this is what we did. And this is what we did. And that's so valuable. I mean, seriously, that's part of it, is breaking through and getting there. In some ways, I don't know if we win the 2019 championship without Kawhi and Danny, because those guys went and did it with the Spurs before, and they knew how to do it. That's something we don't think about. Even Mark was on the team with the Grizzlies for so long, had some playoff success, but he never saw the promised land. He didn't know the treasure map. You know, none of our guys that were on our team before didn't knew it. Serge didn't have a ring before ours. So it's not like he knew the treasure map, but Kawhi and Danny did. They knew what it took because they did it with San Antonio 5 years before they won it with us. And I think that that's part of it with Siakam, is that he knows what it takes and he can relate it to everybody. And in some ways, it's not about Siakam being the carrier or the person that hits the big shot to go into overtime. It's about doing all the little things and carrying the energy and being a leader on that team and confidence and saying, this is how we did it, guys. And this is how we did it. And I believe we can do it. Because, you know, some of the clips Siakam's been coming out with during these playoffs, he's talking very in depth about winning and what it takes. He's talking about, like, it's just you have to have the desire to want to win more than the other side. And he understands this because of Raptors 2019 and standing next to Kawhi as the second banana on our championship. And that intangible is not going to necessarily be in stats or anything on the court that happens. That'll be a presence. That'll be a locker room voice. That'll be somebody who's been there and done that and can tell them, this is how I did it. And that is so valuable for the Pacers right now. And that's why I say that he's essential for their success right now. Because and Carlisle understands this. And in some ways, I'm so happy that Siakam is with a coach that really respects and understands who Pascal Siakam is. He's playing with a guy who's using him right. And that's fantastic. That's a fantastic thing right there, man. And that's part of it right there with Siakam, man. That's part of it right there. SGA really gave so much credit to his wife. He said he has known her since they were in high school. She is a former soccer player. Well, you know, he loves her. You know, she's the mother of his child, and he loves his child Aries very, very much. And, you know, these are the things that matter to him. And in some ways, he's like really gaga love with her. That's why he's going to make a shoe for her, and he's going to celebrate their love and marriage and their family. And, you know, it's fantastic. I love it. I'm glad to see he's happy and he's reaching the top of his profession. That's what I say about Gilgeous-Alexander. He's reaching the top of his profession as the MVP and possibly a new NBA champion soon. We'll have to see. Smooth saying, I mean, the Leafs have a fantastic run. Packed arena, jersey sales are through the roof, just haven't won the big one. Most of the NHL would take what they have. That's what I'm saying, man. But we know, and that's why I'm comparing them to the Knicks nation. They're going to be disappointed if they don't get all the way. You know that the Knicks, if they lose to Indiana, there's going to be heartache and crazy ass toxic shit that the Knicks nation will do afterwards. Seriously, you know it. You know it. And it'll be very similar to the Leaf Nation this week. It'll be very, very similar. Very, very similar. I know. You got to be thankful for what you got. Listen, certain types of fans, if they were fans of the Utah Jazz during the Stockton Malone era, they would not be happy with what happened with them because they never won the championship. But you know what? There's a lot of Jazz fans that are very satisfied with the Malone Stockton era, even though they never won a championship. Because you know what happened during the Utah Jazz years with Malone and Stockton? They won a lot. They went to the playoffs a lot, and they got to see their team win a lot, but they never won a championship. Why are Jazz fans not overly upset about that? They are actually very proud of the era of Malone and Stockton. That's because they can see it a little bit more completely and around a whole thing as far as the whole league, and there's only one champion every year. And in some ways, success is success no matter what. You're a winning team, even if you didn't ever win the championship. Should you hold your head down? A lot of people shade Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, and John Stockton for not being NBA champions, but that doesn't change that they're dream teamers. And they're also some of the greatest Hall of Famers in the history of the game, even though they never won. I think that's part of it is everybody's too much championship or bust. And there's many, many great players in the history of this league that never won a championship that deserve all the accolades, and fans should be proud of them, DeMar DeRozan. Yeah, fans should be proud of them. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Stargate saying, I'm hearing small whispers that the Celtics may be ready to blow it up. Don't be surprised if Flag does end up in Celtics uniform more sooner than we think. Wink, wink. I'm hearing more and more that Cooper Flag's camp is not happy that he's in Dallas, that this is not where he wanted to be. And there's even been rumors that Cooper might renege on coming into the NBA and go back to Duke on NIL still. That's the thing, man. In some ways, this is why they never wanted NIL to happen, is because the NBA in some ways could force young men to come into their league sooner because of the financial compensation. But if NIL's there, some guys maybe want to stay for 4 years because the money's better in the college than they would get in the NBA. And that's fantastic. That's more freedom and choice for the worker, for the player. And I like that. It's the same thing as when the ABA came in and caught competition for the NBA. All the players in the NBA had an alternative, like WCW and WWE. That I'm not going to work for Vince, I could go work for Ted Turner. Well, that worked for the NBA and the ABA and gave a lot of leverage to the union and the players in the NBA at that time, because there was another show in town and people like Rick Barry could go across and play for the Oakland Oaks instead of the Golden State Warriors, and they could get paid more. And in some ways that got workers' rights. In some ways, this is good for the basketball, that the young players can earn money in college now. But it also gives leverage for somebody like Cooper Flag to say, screw y'all, I'm going back to Duke and I'm going to play another year. I mean, I don't know how these commitments work. They make such a big deal. It's like, oh, he's committed to the draft, to be in the draft. But wait, you got drafted and now you're saying you don't want to come? Yeah, I'm not going to come to Dallas. I'm going to go back to Duke. I'm going to make NIL. And y'all need to trade me in the next year, the rights to me, preferably to Boston. That would be great. I'm thinking that Boston's going to blow things up a little bit too. I think that in some ways they found out that their live and die by the three mantra is really not sustainable or smart. And they may have to pivot a little bit as far as diversifying their offense to be more successful next year. Because if they're going to live and die by the three, you're going to die by the three when it matters most. And that was in the playoffs. And you just lost to the New York Knicks. And that's it right there. I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics make some moves a little bit. They should. They're so high up in the tax apron that they're going to need to make a trade to be able to do anything. They're not going to be able to do anything through the draft or free agency because they can't sign anyone. So it's like existing guys on contracts that they've got right now. They're going to have to move somebody and get something back different. That's the thing that the Celtics will have to do. Smith saying for the original 6 in the NHL, Detroit, Chicago, and Boston, the Rangers, the Montreal, Toronto, the pressure will always be there. Yeah, but it's not the same. I don't think it's the same in some of those other cities. I really do feel like Toronto's just so crazy, and it's built up, man. And it's in some ways it becomes bigger than what you think it is. It becomes a mental thing. And that's part of the problem. Leafs fans are so worked up in weird ways that it's a mental thing at this point. It's not even like reality. It's something in their heads that tells them that they'll never win again. And that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when they tell each other that over and over again. You know, I get it. It's been a long time and y'all really want it bad, but y'all want it so bad you're getting in the way of it, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say to y'all. I don't think it's the same way in all those cities. Maybe, I mean, I guess Montreal probably is pretty crazy and toxic with their team, but they've been pretty bad at times recently, right? So it's like they kind of just, I don't care. They suck. You know, this kind of thing. You know, Boston, yeah, I could see that with the Bruins. Detroit, they have a very proud history. They could probably be like that. Rangers is New York, of course. I don't know about the Blackhawks, though. I don't know about that team. Maybe Chicago gets crazy like that. That's such a sports city in other ways. You know, and I know the Blackhawks have had some success recently. I think it's totally different for the Leafs, though. I think it's totally different in some ways, and it's very similar to the Knicks, is what I'm saying. G saying, good list. Going to look at them all. Who's most like Derek Lively in anyone's opinion? Newell. I think the Newell or Esenge or maybe Berenger. Those guys are, like I said, they're all kind of Claxton-y. And Claxton is very lively. You know, I think that they're very similar kind of players. I mean, if you have a mobile big that can run up and down the court, get up and down the court like Nicholas Claxton, and he can shoot a decent three that has to be respected, that's kind of what we're looking for right here. A shot blocker, rebounder that gets up and down the floor, that can play true center as a backup to Jakob. That's what I'm thinking right there. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Seymour saying Reggie Miller hiding his identity in New York City is hilarious, running around all masked up. I wouldn't blame him for doing that. I mean, society in some ways is devolving. You know, leadership in the United States is so poor right now. You know, if I lived in the States right now, I'd be like, I don't follow any laws because the president doesn't follow any laws. So why the hell should I follow any laws? So if Reggie Miller walking around in New York, I'd be watching out too, because is there any laws in the United States anymore? Because it doesn't seem like it. The president's breaking all the laws. He sets the tone, and it just seems like a criminal country now. Seriously. I mean, seriously. Who's at some point, like, seriously, all right, if you're going to use all my taxes to go towards tax cuts for the billionaires, I'm not paying taxes anymore. Like, why the fuck would anybody follow any laws in the United States anymore? They set the tone at the top with the president. He's a felon how many times over? So why the hell should anybody be following laws in the United States? That's what I would say. If I lived in the United States still, I'd be breaking laws every which way. I'm like the president, man. He's my role model. I'm just going to live my life like the president. I'm not following any laws anymore. It's a lawless country. So, yeah, if I was Reggie Miller walking around New York City, I'd wear a mask. Yeah, I would. See, we're saying Halliburton is Reggie 2.0, Knicks killer. We'll have to see. It's not over. He did that too early, man. Stargate saying Khan is nowhere near Chris Mullin. People need to stop. Chris Mullin was a New York basketball icon. Even the street ballers knew about him at the time, despite Chris not being a street baller. I know. I think the comparison's there, though, because when I was watching them, there are a little bit of body mannerisms and kind of, you know what it is? It's like Mullin fundamentally had a certain way of like his foot speed and pacing and like carrying himself. And Khan Knuppel is very reminiscent of it in some ways. It's about body control once again. We were talking about body control with Scotty and different players like SGA and how SGA's body control is what gets him the free throw merchant stuff. It's like he gets the free throw line because he can control his body in such a way. Like Jordan could control his body. You know, that's a really good thing for a basketball player to have. And I will say at his height and his size, Khan Knuppel has a control to his footwork and the way he's very deliberate with his body that can be kind of like reminiscent of Chris Mullin. That's the only reason why I say that. I don't think he's anywhere near the level of Chris Mullin, St. John's product. But in some ways, I could see some of the mannerisms and the kind of the body control that Chris Mullin used to have in Khan Knuppel. And that's why I would say that's kind of fair. It's kind of fair. But yeah, he's not going to be on the level of Chris Mullin. Hell no. That'd be crazy to think that. Yeah, Jimmer Fredette at best. See, that's another one right there. Then everybody said all this Jimmer Fredette. What the fuck did he do in the professional league? Nothing. That's right. And we're about to see Reed Shepherd turn out like that too. That's what I'm saying. So it's like these little guards, and they're great college players. They're fantastic shooters. They have success. They help their team win. Doesn't mean they'll win in the NBA. That's what I say right there. Smooth saying there's no Raptors Bucks trade for Giannis happening. Scotty isn't going to trade Scotty Barnes, and that's the only way the Bucks will engage. I'm with you on that. It's a known starter, and I'm hoping Masai is saying the same damn thing I'm saying right here. You're talking about Barnes going to Milwaukee? No, we're not even going to talk to you on the phone. I'm sorry. We are not even going to go there. That's the way I feel about it right there. Like I said, if the money's good with Brandon, we could do it with Brandon, but we're going to have Giannis and Scotty on the same damn team. Yeah, it's not going to be Scotty's going for Giannis. No. You want ain't going to come here, Masai? You better be trading Ingram. That's what I say right there. That's right. Go Thunder, go Pacers. I like that. Yeah, I like Kasparis, 6'9" point guard. I like that idea. Yet his defense is a huge issue. He is an okay shooter, not great, but one hell of a playmaker and extremely high basketball IQ. Well, that's not something we need. That's why I keep saying this. There's a lot of great, awesome passers, like a 6'9" Kasparis, 6'9" Igor Demin. But do we need them? No, because we got a 6'9" Scotty Barnes. And we got even a Brandon Ingram who on the down low is a really good passer that nobody knows this, but they're going to see it next year. Everybody's going to be like, holy shit, I didn't realize that Brandon's such a good playmaker. Yeah, we're going to see it more because in some ways on LA and in Pelicans, he wasn't demanded of doing that. And Darko's system demands all the players to be good passers. That's part of the reason why Chris doesn't play as much, is because he's probably one of the least best passers on our team. And, Brandon's going to be a very good passer in this system. We've seen RJ make gains last year in his passing and playmaking. And I'm going to say this right now, Brandon Ingram might be a better passer than RJ. So that's the thing. We've got all these forward wing guys that are already kind of good passers, kind of pseudo point guards on the down low. Seriously, that a guy like Demon, a guy like Kasparis, not necessary on our team. In some ways, they just cloud things up and kind of muddle things. And that's high level money at the 9th pick invested in something that you already have a duplicate of. You don't need that. Scotty Barnes is Igor Demin. Scotty Barnes is Kasparis. Why do we need those guys? We don't need them. We don't need them on our team. Yeah. Tristan said, I think Ingram fits the swag aspect as well. Yeah, Ingram's awesome, man. I like Ingram. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying he hasn't even shown up and played for us. We could trade him out for Giannis, and it wouldn't hurt as much as it would hurt ripping the heart out of us with Scotty Barnes. In some ways, Brandon hasn't even taken the court to us. And in some ways, it's like, okay, we got Brandon on this and this. If Masai could pull that off, do it. That's what I would say. That's when I would say get Giannis. You trade him for Brandon and some other pieces, the 9th pick. That's what you do right there. That's what you do right there. That's right. James saying, I doubt the Bucks want Ingram. They want someone younger and less injury prone with star potential. Well, non-starter then. If they don't want Ingram, well, you don't have anything to talk about with them. That's what I say right there. Stargate saying Khan is Adam Morrison 2.0. He's not that big, though. Adam Morrison's an interesting one. See, this is what I'm saying. There's a history of these guys. Keith Van Horn, Adam Morrison. That's the Stargate's going to start bringing up those names, man. James saying Ingram is the ISO scorer we need in the playoffs. Yeah. And that's why, in some ways, he's going to be fantastic for us. And that's why we don't need to do any moves. We're set up for next year. We'll do the trades. We'll do the draft. We'll get our couple of draft picks, and we'll go from there. We'll be fine, guys. We'll see what happens with Temple and Boucher, and we'll do our draft. And that's it. I don't really care about anything else. Those are the two things that we really need to do. 2 free agents and 2 draft picks, and boom. That's it. That's our offseason, guys. And everybody in Raptors Nation who wants more to happen, more excitement, people that are trade machine heads that just love seeing trades and the freshness of things like Luka to the Lakers. Yeah, get over yourself. That's not why they have this league. The entertainment isn't in the transactions, you idiots. It's in the basketball on the court, played on the court. It's not on the jerseys and whether we wear purple or we have a fancy court. It's about winning and playing in the lines of the 48 minutes and getting in Larry O'Brien's. It's not about anything else. So anybody who's like, gets in a tizzy about trades, and we need to have a rebrand. Y'all are watching for the wrong reasons. Y'all are watching for the wrong reasons. You need to be watching for the meat and potatoes of basketball and team play and rooting for Toronto Raptors. That's what I'm saying right there. That's right. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Smooth saying Bucks GM said if you want Giannis, we want everything. I know that's crazy, man. You're crazy. We ain't going there. We ain't going there. We don't need to talk to you. We're fine. That's the other thing. Raptors fans, ain't nothing broke. We are fine right now. Anybody who's gaslighting y'all that tell you, oh, I don't know if the Raptors are going to be good enough next year, they're full of shit. Just don't listen to them. As soon as somebody comes in and starts saying, you know what, the Raptors aren't good enough, they don't know what they're talking about because they don't know. They can't say that. Brandon Ingram has not played yet. They can't say that. So it's like, oh, no, we need to make moves. We need to do this. We need to do that because we're not good enough. Bullshit. You don't know that yet. And I think we are good enough when we're healthy and all accounted for. I think we are, honestly. In fact, we're going to be so good. We're going to be one of the top 6 teams that will be straight in the playoffs and not even in the play-in. Seriously, this year in the Eastern Conference, we get good health this year. We don't hardly do anything. We do the 2 draft picks. We sign 2 guys, like I said, Temple and Boucher back. We will probably be in the playoffs straight up if we're healthy and blessed in that way. Seriously, I'm saying it right there. That's right. I do see some trades happening this offseason for the Raptors. I don't, James. I really don't see any trades. I think that Bobby and Masai have a really good unit of players that get along. And if it's not necessary, if it's not really needed, why would we do it? I think that over trading is what hurts teams half the time. So it's like, I don't think we need to make any trades. I don't see it happening. I really don't. Neil's saying Giannis is not coming. We don't have a trade package that will not gut the team, which defeats the purpose of trading for Giannis. We have to be playoff bound. Yeah, I would say this. Like I said, that's a package I would do. It doesn't totally gut our team. But once again, Milwaukee wants a certain amount of stuff. Well, you ain't going to get it from us. You ain't going to get it for us. You won't take Ingram, Oshai, and the number 9 pick. That's not good enough for you? Okay, well, we don't need to talk. There's nothing wrong in Toronto. We don't need nothing from y'all. Y'all may need to move your superstar because he wants to leave. And that may be your problem. But we don't have a problem in Toronto. We're good. We're set. We got who we want. We're going forward. That's what I'm saying. Stargate saying Giannis to Miami for Hero, Bam, and 2 firsts. Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, Miami does need a reset. They totally need a reset since Jimmy exited, and now that they're the way they are, I mean, I can see that happening. I can see that happening, completely changing. In some ways, they're a franchise that's in disarray that could be gutted to be changed by this Milwaukee deal. Yeah, I could see that. That would make sense. Miami sucks regardless. Garbage team. All due respect. I'm not going to disagree with him. Seymour saying, not going to lie, when we moved DeMar, it felt like we got gutted. Nobody could see Kawhi bringing it in a chip that season. This is serious. This is a serious thing what Seymour's saying. I was gutted. Yeah, exactly what you said. The day that DeMar got traded, I felt it like he did. And I was not good for a month, man. That ruined my summer, honestly. It ruined my summer of 2018 when the Raptors traded DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. I hated it. I hated Masai. I literally was hating Masai at that time. I hated him. I've never really hated Masai. I love Masai. I still love Masai. But for a period of time, I was like, I'm pissed at you, Masai. Why did you do this to DeMar? You stabbed him in the back. But, you know, over the next year, I saw it all unfold. And I was like, okay, this is exactly why. And wow, what a masterful move. And I was like, wow, I need to trust Masai is what I learned. But yeah, I had actually decided in the summer of 2018 that I was not going to watch the Raptors for 2019 season. Imagine if I didn't do that. If I was like, fuck the Raptors. They traded DeMar DeRozan. They did him wrong. And I'm boycotting them for the season. And then that's our championship year. That would be awful. No, I did end up watching them and going to games and supporting them. And thank God, because it was our championship year. And it was a really, really smart move, even if it hurt at that time emotionally. Now, do you see this kind of outcome with the one we're talking about with Giannis and Scottie? Do you see this happening? No, I don't. I don't see us winning a championship just because we get Giannis like we did with Kawhi. In some ways, the makeup of the team fit for what we gave up to do that, to get there. And if we give up Scott, I don't think that's backtracking. That's not going forward. I really don't think that that's going forward. I think that is backtracking is what I'm saying. Stargate saying, yeah, they do suck. That's why I proposed that trade. If the Bucks GM wants to gut a team, why not the Heat? They're already gutted. Jimmy did it himself. He took the fillet knife to Pat Riley in the back and left. and left. He gutted him. That's not very nice. I shouldn't say that, but it is kind of true, man. Yeah, I totally agree. That's the team to do it. Seymour saying OVO is such a sellout organization. I seen a guy in a Knicks OVO jacket. Well, they do apparel for the whole league. I mean, I don't know why you didn't understand this. Like you've got a whole line of WNBA gear for all the WNBA teams out. OVO just came out. And you got to remember, like Drake was doing specialty jackets, not just for Kyle and DeMar and Fred. He went around and gave one to Steph. He went around and gave an OVO specialty jacket to who's another one of his buddies. I think he gave one to LeBron. I'm not totally sure. He gave them to like a whole group. There was like a group of 6 guys he gave like these special OVO jackets a while back. And DeMar and Kyle were 2 of them, and Freddie was one too. I know that. And Steph Curry was one for sure. I think Durant was one of them too. So yeah, he is a sellout. We know Drake's been a fan of the NBA. He may be our global ambassador. In some ways, he's kind of defunct, honestly, after what he said on that DeMar DeRozan slander on the broadcast. But he's always been a fan of the whole league. I mean, he told us that he was going to go to Phoenix for a season with Kevin when he went there because he knew the Raptors were going to suck. He was going to start going to Suns and hanging around Arizona more than being in Toronto. Yeah, he's a total sellout. We've seen him be Warriors Nation heavy at times too. Warriors Nation. He was even Cavs Nation at times in weird ways at times. It's like, yeah, he's a sellout. Smooth saying Spurs and Rockets are the teams that are probably going to get Giannis. I could see the Spurs being number 1, the ability, and that's that number 2 pick, obviously. Kareem saying OVO is a brand, not a local food store. They have a lot of team branding. My daughter has an OVO Kansas City jacket. I was going to bleach it, but she's a Mahomes fan. This is so funny. But now, once again, all right, there's a context. Kareem Thomas is a huge Denver Broncos fan, but apparently, somehow, some way, he has a daughter who's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. That's hilarious. And you were going to bleach it on purpose to ruin it? That's a bad dad right there, man. But it's a dad who's going to get a dunk for a chuckle. That's so funny, man. He's like, he wants to ruin his daughter's jacket just because she's opposing Fan Nation. That is just wrong, man. That's a little toxic. I'm just going to say that right there. You didn't do it, though. He talked about it, but he didn't do it. 96 on the charts for – you got to catch up to Smooth now, man. He's at 130. That's so good, man. I love that, man. Seymour's laughing about it, too. I love that, man. Stargate saying draft Derek Queen and send him in BI3 and Oshai to Milwaukee for Giannis. Yeah, that'd be weird. That's a weird deal. I like I said, that's the only deal I got for Milwaukee from us. That's the only one. And everybody's saying you have to put Scotty in the deal. Milwaukee may say that, but the money lines up with Ingram too. Just so y'all know. Kareem saying Nick should have won, but Naismith said, hold my beer. Naismith. Oh, Neesmith. Yeah, Neesmith, not James Naismith. I was like, James Naismith? What are you talking about James Naismith for? That's weird, man. Blackhawk saying, I'm not looking to trade RJ, but his value has to be better than hometown hero. He's a crucial piece for winning. Larry O'Brien, as the team is constructed today. No. As the team is constructed today, no. You're wrong. Neil, I'm going to say you're wrong. I'm going to say you're wrong, Neil. And it's not just for sullying RJ and saying he's not good enough to do this. That's bullshit. His value's fine. Once again, let's not take perceived value by the media. Let's not take perceived value because he's ignored by Canadian media and U.S. media, especially now. In some ways, actually, I was thinking about it as a benefit for RJ. Let's just think about one of the main topics we're having today about the Leafs' toxicness with attention from fans and press. Well, RJ, I remember when RJ got drafted out of Duke to the New York Knicks as the 3rd pick in the draft. This is what I said. I feel so bad for RJ. I said that because I cared about him, being a Toronto kid. And knowing he was coming out, I was like, man, I love RJ. I love him even because he's a Canadian and he's going to be on Team Canada. And I felt so bad for him. When his name got called and he was going to the Knicks, I was like, man, I feel bad for him. He's going to the Knicks. And the reason why was the press and the toxicness and the fan nation. And it happened the way I thought it would when he was there. He was so over-scrutinized, underneath the microphone, magnifying glass. And so thrown under the bus left and right by Knicks Nation in different ways over the time he was there. Sure, there were diehard loyalists that absolutely loved him, like Ben Stiller. But there were, for every Ben Stiller, there were 5 guys that were calling him overrated and a problem and on our team. We can't take the perception from the toxic Knicks nation that was involved with his earlier career when he was there. And this is the thing I'm going to say. RJ, in some ways, is kind of happy that Scotty's more the focal point, I bet, because in some ways he is away from that kind of spotlight now in Toronto. He's shielded. And in some ways, he's more protected. Another thing, like with the Leafs, you know, there's a lot of Canadians on the Leafs that understand just how important it is to win and win for the Maple Leafs. And there's pressure just from that. And, you know, you can have a hometown guy like John Tavares playing for the team, and he understands this all too well. And it's a little bit tougher for him. RJ's going to go through that a little bit with us, but because he's kind of not getting a lot of attention, he's kind of flying on the radar. That's probably a very good thing. It's a nice break from what he was going through in New York. So it's weird. Don't believe anything about RJ except for what you see on the court, Neil. That's what I would say right now. Don't believe anything about RJ Barrett, about whether he's a good player or not, about whether he is a good fit for Toronto, about whether he is good enough for us to be able to win. Just watch him. The proof is in what he does on the court and how he plays, and that's all you need to look at. Forget about anybody else's opinion, including mine. Watch him for yourself on the court, and you'll understand all the answers that you need from what you just brought up. I don't want you to go and buy anything that New York fans used to say. I don't want you to go by anything that the press is not saying or saying. You need to just watch them yourself and decide for yourself. That's what I would say right there. This team is good enough to compete for a championship already. It's too young to compete for a championship right now. The core of the Raptors right now in 4, maybe 3 years, 2 years may be good enough to be competing for a championship. It's just that they need a little bit more rebuild time and chemistry and growing up as a young core. We have the goods to win a championship right now. We need a couple little extra pieces, but most of it's here. And this team will be good enough to win a championship in the next 3 to 5 years. I'm saying it right now. That's right. Kareem's saying nobody won the Knicks Timberwolves trade. Laugh out loud. Somebody's saying that? I don't know. I think that it benefited both teams, and they're elevated in the playoffs for it. So I think that that's wrong. I think that both teams won. Julius Randle's been outstanding. And in some ways, like Siakam, he's getting overlooked and not talked about enough for his contributions to his team's success in getting as far as they have in the playoffs. In fact, they've been more successful with Julius Randle than Cat at this point in Minnesota. This is just the damn truth. And, well, Cat has been very useful for New York also. So it's a win-win trade. In fact, I think that New York's trade with us and this trade have both been win-wins for both teams. OG's been a win for them. And RJ and Emmanuel will be a win for us also, more and more as time goes on. Watch. More and more time goes on. Tristan Trey saying Foster Brothers and Frere laughing my ass. You're talking about Foster Brothers that own the Cactus Club. Yeah, I want to put them on blast a little bit because they are a straight-up Canadian company. That's right. Seymour saying, how can you compare Leaf fans to Raptors fans who want to trade RJ? I'm so confused right now. How can I compare Leaf fans to Raptors fans who want to trade RJ? Well, this is the toxic thing when players are like hearing fan noise about like, man, they don't really care about me. Like they're willing to throw me on the bus and throw me into any willy-nilly trade package. That's the problem. That's the problem right there. In some ways, it's like it's special having RJ here in Toronto. I know some people don't want to put that in as an added thing, but that is a real bonus. It is. It seriously is. You cannot deny that RJ doesn't play harder for the Raptors than he does New York. He does. He does. It's just a little bit different. There's something a little bit different. And maybe that he has more effort on defense. Maybe that he's unlocking other parts of his game that he didn't work on in New York because he's working on it for Darko here. But I'm saying this right now. There's no denying. And this is something that I want on our team because this is a big secret in the NBA. You want to be successful in this league, you want people that really want it. And there's a lot of guys that come in this league, as DeMar DeRozan said, that aren't in the league for the right reasons anymore. They're coming in to collect checks and just show up. You want to have people on your team, especially crucial people, that really want it, like Scotty does. I know Scotty wants it really bad. I know he does. And I know RJ does too, because we see it on the court, the way he plays, the way he bowls his way to the basket, makes shots. and the way he plays so hard and tough. That's the thing. You need top players on your team, leaders like that, to set the tone and show this is how we act here on this team. You have leaders like Zion in New Orleans, you get what you get in Pelicans. That's what I'm saying. That's why leaders like RJ and Scotty are crucial to the Raptors' success coming up, because we know we can depend on them, that they're doing it for the right reasons. There's a lot of top players in this league that aren't totally doing it for the right reasons anymore. LeBron, Kevin Durant. And that is where you can find fool's gold in a superstar like Giannis and say, oh, we're just going to automatically win because we're Giannis. But in some ways, I'd much rather have a guy, I have no doubt, that is playing for the right reasons like RJ Barrett on my team. Does that make sense what I'm saying here? I mean, does that make sense? Seriously. All right, let me see. Where am I with the chat? I've lost my place. So give me just a second and I will try and read into things right here. Okay, I found it. Yeah, the people that want to trade RJ are ridiculous. I don't think that they're from Toronto, honestly. You know, like Coach Roach was on to the point this week, and he admitted he doesn't live in Toronto. He doesn't really understand Toronto, but he's basing a lot of opinions on different things about Toronto. I think it's important that you know the city and the market and the fan nation, and you know the culture of the city. I think that it's important. If you're really going to be an expert on a certain team, you should know that aspect of things. If somebody's going to try and tell me what the Raptors should do in this and they've never set foot in the country of Canada, you need to shut the fuck up, is what I'm going to say to that person. You've never set foot even in Canada, let alone been to Toronto? And you're going to tell me how to run our NBA team? No, you ain't going to do that, man. You ain't going to do that. You ain't going to do that. G saying, Seymour, a lot of fans want to trade RJ. YouTubers are pushing this. It's literally insane and ridiculous. I know. It's like I really, like I said, I don't think that they're from Toronto. I don't think that they get the Toronto connection. The ones that are really diehard for him, like I am, are from Toronto, born right downtown like I was. I was born right downtown in Toronto at the Women's College of Wellesley in 1975. I'm Toronto bona fide through the city because that's my city. That's where I'm from. And if you're not from Toronto, if you're from other parts of Canada and you're opining that we should get rid of RJ, shut the fuck up, is what I'm going to say right now. If you're not from Scarborough, if you're not from Toronto, if you're not from Mississauga, if you're not from the greater Toronto area, you've never even lived here, don't have an opinion on whether RJ Barrett should be on the Raptors or not. Seriously. And some people say, well, you can't just have all a team of Canadians and just try and have those connections. Well, we could try and have more of those connections because they do help. And they do work. Seriously. They are a hidden bonus, a little hidden thing that absolutely helps your team. Because you don't have any worry what the guy's playing for is motivation, because he's playing for a childhood dream. He's playing for his own city. He's playing for his own friends and family, because they are all Raptors fans that he's been around for his whole life. And now he has an active chance to put his will on what he can do for his team. I'm telling you, that is something that is, in some ways, like those old American Express commercials, priceless. Seriously, it's priceless to have a player of RJ's caliber and talent on the Toronto Raptors playing for us. Don't throw that away. Don't think because we have so many good players already that RJ's expendable. Fuck that. He's not expendable. Trust me. Now, if Masai and Bobby going to do him like DeMar DeRozan in a couple years, well, that's their choice. They're astute enough and live on the moon to know that that's the right move at that time, better than us. But not for y'all to decide when you cast away RJ Barrett from this team, because y'all are not educated and y'all don't live on the moon like Masai and Bobby do as GMs and front office of the Toronto Raptors in the NBA world, and what they know about that job takes is not as easy as an ESPN trade machine. Y'all think you know everything, but you don't. Masai and Bobby know better than you, and you need to admit that to yourself, is what I'm going to say. That's right. It's ridiculous. Stop pushing this. It's insane and ridiculous if you're anti-RJ being on our team. In some ways, I'm going to say you're anti-Canadian, anti-Toronto. That's right. Yeah, Tristan said, I thought about this morning. That's right. So these is saying, I can't wait for us to get back to the playoffs, but I find it very stressful. One loss, the world is ending. One win, we're the best ever. Such a roller coaster. That's what the playoffs are. In some ways, I want to get back to that. Sure, we've had misery and sadness in the playoffs, LeBronto years, and different things like that series with the Philadelphia where Joel Embiid stepped on Scotty's leg. Such a cheap shot, bullshit thing. And Gary Trent Jr. having a flu on the down low, and nobody knew it. Yeah, there's highs and lows with the playoffs, but that's part of the fun. That's the stair steps of getting in there and trying to get further and further. And I love that, the Thunder are getting further and further now on their stair steps up towards Larry O'Brien. That's right. That's right. Seymour saying, dunk. There you go. There you go. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free Crew. The NBA playoffs are so exciting. NBA is in good hands. We'll listen to this season session later on double speed. Global expansion is advantageous for French. They're ahead of the curve. Yeah. I'm just wondering what it is. Like, is it très chic in France to be into basketball right now? Are the young kids really just like gravitating towards it? Is it just become something crazy, partly because of Tony Parker and Victor Wembanyama? Is it something like that? That's a good idea. If you're not watching me live, I know I do long streams, and I've been doing almost 3-hour ones this week because the conversation's been really good, but I try to keep it near 2 hours. If you're watching me and you're not live, put me at 1.75 speed. You can still understand me, and the stream will go by way, way, way faster. So yeah, she puts it on double speed. I think that's a little too fast for me. I do 1.75, or if you're more comfortable at 1.5 speed, that's good too. Seymour saying Wiggins should have got the MVP the year they gave it to Steph. Andrew Wiggins? You think that Andrew Wiggins should have been the MVP in the last Warriors championship? I don't know. I don't remember enough. I mean, in some ways that may have been kind of like a lifetime achievement because of the dynasty for the Warriors. I know Kevin got a couple of those ones from that other time. I don't know. I don't disagree with this totally, but I don't remember. In some ways, I'm fine with Curry winning it too, though. Cool Cat saying, I just hope our number 9 pick is lengthy and athletic, regardless of who it is. Yeah, and that's why I like Asa Newell. That's why I like Jean Berenguer. That's why I like Noah Isonge. And those guys are all very long, Claxton-like players. And I keep using that word, Claxton-like, because that's a shorthand for the type of player that we're looking for, is a kind of player like Claxton. We wanted a player like Maxie. We got Quickly. Well, we're going to need a player like Claxton that maybe we'll draft one this year. That may be good. Cool Cat saying, Lex, those French tall basketball players, their parents are Africans, so the region of the African continent impacts the physical traits displayed. Cameroon, Nigeria, Congo, Sudan are represented more. I know that's kind of where I was going with that point, is the geographic location and the immigration hub of France, and also possibly because they have more laxer immigration laws and allow people to come in at a greater rate, that they are having this boon of great players. And I'm really pretty sure that that's the combination of it all right there. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Smooth saying, yep, genetics from parents born in Africa. I agree with that. And I'm just saying, like, the food part is a big part of what I'm kind of saying the problem with the United States is the nutrition of kids. They don't eat right down there. And in some ways, it doesn't just hurt them growing physically. It hurts their brain chemistry too. Like, they're dumber and they have lower IQs, partly because they don't feed them right. They're eating plastic and gross, like, chemical lab shit, most of the time. You go in the grocery store and there's some moms that are buying junk food for their kids as their meals. They're buying things that have no real food in it. It's all made in a lab, and it's absolutely horrible for you. There's not really good high standards for food in the United States. Let's just put it that way. We have better standards here in Canada because we care about our citizens more than the Americans do. And in France, it's the same thing. In some ways, it's part of their culture. You have to eat good if you're a French person. You're like, yo, that's shit. What are you eating there? That's fucking shit. C'est dommage. You eat this bullshit. What are you fucking eating, man? It's kind of like that in a way. Seriously. That's what I'm saying, man. Seymour saying Canada gets crazy pickings through the Caribbean islands too. Yeah. The immigration of Jamaican people and people from all the islands here. A lot of you guys, some of you are part of that immigration and your family lineage. It's a fantastic thing. These are great arguments for why immigration is important. It's because you get a more diverse pool of people. You have more different ideas and different backgrounds, and there's more well-rounded ideas, and things are better. DEI is fantastic. These idiots in the States, anti-woke people, are absolute idiots, and they're stupider for it. And they're going to lose for it too, because diversity is stronger than their racist ass crazy tropes of anti-woke bullshit that's going on right now. Yeah, we're going to beat them in the end, because the diverse team that has a lot of different opinions and strength will win in the end. Trust me. It will win in the end. And this whole anti-woke bullshit movement right now is going to go out the window, and we're going to get back to being right with that kind of stuff. You can say woke's a bad word, but it's not. Woke is been, as y'all have said, it's been hijacked from something it was from before with black culture. But it also, in some ways, the whole idea of being PC and being more for people and equality, there's nothing wrong with that. And that is progress, and it's going to happen either way. These guys are trying to set up a temporary roadblock and speed block and culture in the world right now, and they're going to get run over, and it's going to be flattened. And we're going to keep going in progress, because progress is going to happen no matter what. Because it's not up to the anti-woke, anti-DEI bullshit politicians that are out there right now. It's up to the children. It's up to the future voters. It's up to their mentalities. And that's why they want to malnourish them and not give them education and keep them stupid and sheep and make them anti-woke, because they don't want them to be able to think for themselves. They want to tell them what they want them to think. And that's not going to win in the end. Youngsters like to rebel. And you know what? They're going to pick up that mantle of progress and DEI and wokeness, no matter what these motherfuckers say. I'm telling you right now, seriously, they're going to try and make it look like we're bad and communists and all this stuff, but it's they can't stop it. This is their last ditch attempt. Elon buys an election and it shoves anti-woke bullshit on everybody. He can't stop it. They're scared. They're honestly scared. And this is their last power grab. And it may end in a bloody revolution where we got to take the White House back from Nazis, but it's going to win for the good side in the end. I can see it already, because in some ways they're all fucked up already. Their own allies are turning on them, and they can do power grabs and they can do all this kind of stuff and scare people with all this kind of stuff. It's not going to win in the end. The children in the future will win in the end, and they're going to decide it. They can't indoctrinate everybody to be a racist little shit Nazi like they trying to. And people that are in this chat right now that I've kicked off the Discord server, I'm going to say this right now. You're in danger of being indoctrinated into a anti-diverse, anti-woke, anti-DEI Nazi foxhole. Don't go there. Seriously. You know who I'm talking to right now. You know I'm talking to you. Because seriously, if you're following that kind of stuff and you're going that path, you're going the wrong way. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Don't believe that shit. Seriously. I'd be disappointed in people that actually allow themselves to be brainwashed by MAGA and Trump right now. Seriously. I'd be so disappointed in these people. Seriously. Yeah. Let's see. Smooth saying, yep, genetics from parents born in Africa. Yeah, in some ways. And with all the resources and the opportunities of being in France. That's it right there. I think that's part of it. It's an opportunity. So, yeah. Cool Cat saying, Lex, we all know healthy food is the best predictor of health. If your food is tainted, it can impact the DNA being able to express properly. Yes. You don't grow as tall. You're not as smart. You have different issues, health issues that you may have because you ate poorly. This is all a part of it. You are what you eat. That's very, very true. That may be the best word of wisdom today. That right there. Seymour saying most sports Canadians dominate. Their parents are Caribbean. I'm not going to deny this. In some ways, the surge up of Canadian basketball is powered by somebody like SGA. Obviously, Chris Boucher is a great example of an immigrant who came to this country. He represents Canada. He's from St. Lucia. So it's like, this is part of it right here. It's part of it right here. Now there's great, players that come from all around the world, but in some ways we're just talking about this right here. It's right here. Exactly. Randolph saying, Lex, I think there will be such a shakeup at the top of the draft that someone the Raptors didn't expect to fall to them may get to them at 9th. I could see this too, but you know what? I'm really seeing that the top 4 are really set. They're pretty foundationally set. Obviously, Cooper Flagg at 1, Dylan and Ace 2 and 3, and VJ's really been set at 4 almost on every single draft. So those 4 are pretty set. Now, in between there and 9, we don't know. I don't know. With Trey Johnson's available at 9th, do y'all take him? Seriously, I don't totally believe all the hype in some ways. In some ways, I still want to draft positional need and not best available. But Randolph could be exactly right. There could be somebody who drops like Grady did a couple years ago that they had higher on their draft list. And they're like, holy crap, we're going to get this guy at 9th after all. And it may not be Malawatch. It could be somebody different like Randolph saying. Interesting stuff. Smooth saying, plus in those regions of the world, sports are encouraged and developed: soccer, running, and overall good health. That's what I'm saying. Some of it is as facilities and opportunities to be able to get to coaches, to be able to have the nutrition and have the setup, and maybe not even have to worry about some of the other problems you may have to worry about or think about. You know, if you're back in Africa somewhere, you know, I'm not gonna say this because I don't want to say a stereotype. Masai's work is to build infrastructure there and have more coaches and more gyms and more ability for Africans to be able to develop as basketball players. But in France, you know, in some ways the opportunities may be easier in some ways, is what I'm saying. And that is where it lines up. It's like you have immigration from Africa and other places, and boom, all of a sudden in France, you got great players coming all around all of a sudden. It's very interesting. And in Canada, it's a similar thing, what we're saying here. Similar thing right now. Yeah. It's like Easy saying, look at our Canadian track heroes. Yeah. Majority Jamaican descent. Ben Johnson. Yeah. I shouldn't bring him up, right? Stargate saying Paris is one of the dirtiest cities on the planet. People like to talk about New York City, LA, and Detroit being dirty and always glorify Paris, but it's dirty as shit. I've been to Paris, and I'm not going to deny what you're saying, but I think it gets a bad rep also. You know, people like to say French people don't bathe and this and that and this and this. I mean, some of it's kind of just mean, and it's a stereotype. I would say part of the reason why Paris looks so dirty is because it's so old. It's not necessarily because it's just filthy. It's in some ways the architecture and the buildings and the streets and stuff are just very, very old. And that's part of what it is. But I'm not going to deny that you're not right. Paris is a dirty city. Zero said teams with that pick 4 through 8 need a 5. Charlotte, Utah, Brooklyn, Washington. I'm not sure if Malawatch will be on the board for us. I'm sure Masai is a backup plan. Well, then that's the thing. That's what a draft is. We'll see if he falls. It could very well be what Randolph just described, hopefully is common, but we'll have to see. I think that you're right. There is a high demand in the middle of the draft of top 10 for a big man, and that Common is number 1 on the draft boards for a big man, and he probably will be gone. Maybe as soon as New Orleans, maybe Brooklyn. We'll have to see. Seymour saying teams with, I already read that. Cool Cat saying similarly, Canadians of European background from tall countries are concentrated in volleyball. If they have interest in basketball, that could benefit Team Canada getting more tall players. Now, I'm wondering about Oliver Ryu, right? Like, because this is a weird thing. It's like this kid's not from France, but he's this crazy 7'9" kid playing for Florida Gators from Montreal, and he's a white guy. He's French Canadian. I don't think he has any lineage from the islands. I don't think. And in some ways, he's interesting because he grew like a weed. Like, I don't know what it is. There's like really tall French people, I guess. There's just really tall French people, both in Canada and in France. It's really crazy, man. Seymour saying Cactus Club in Calgary is off the chain. Dress code restaurant. Yeah, went highfalutin. I did coffee time earlier this week. I figured I better do Cactus Club too. Get both ends of the spectrum. You know, coffee time, Canadian coffee. Go there instead of Starbucks and go to Cactus Club if you can afford it. That's what I say. Yeah. Cool Cat saying Team Canada basketball's future is exciting. Lots of lengthy athletic players for both men and women teams. Yep, totally agree with you. It is very exciting. I love it. Stargate saying to bring up Scotty in any sort of trade scenario at this point is ludicrous. We're not trading RJ or IQ either. I'd say the likelihood of those barbecue guys getting traded, the highest is IQ. That if any of those 3 guys are going to get traded, IQ in some ways would make the most sense in certain ways. But yeah, I hope none of them go anywhere. IQ is bonded with Toronto too. We've seen him at Blue Jays games, and he's loving being here. And obviously, it's fun to be with one of his best friends, RJ, on a team. And I think he really has bonded with people like Grady and Scotty. So our IQ is part of it. But if we're really getting to a list of who I would be most comfortable with trading for any reason, Quickly's ahead of those guys. And in some ways, there's some real value with Quickly, but I don't want to. I'm not saying I want to trade Emmanuel Quickly, but if you made me choose between the 3 barbecue guys, which one I would trade first, it's Emmanuel. Yeah, it's Emmanuel. It's Emmanuel as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, other people may be other guys. It's not RJ. I can't sell him out, man. I can't. Smooth saying, one of my family members knows the family of a prominent Toronto-born NHL player, and they have told me not to sign with the Leafs because of the pressures of playing in this market. It's real, man. There you go. Reggie's got it from the horse's mouth on a direct line. He's getting a dunk on his own here. This is not 100 points just handed to him by Seymour. This is a dunk for good information. 133 now, Reg. Yeah, that's interesting that you're hearing through a friend of a friend of NHL-born, a Toronto-born NHL player. Don't ever play for the Leafs because the pressure is insane. I can hear it, man. I can hear it. Melvin's here. Good to see Melvin Marty. Good morning to you, sir. Every morning we're doing live streams on the Raptors and other related NBA Canadian basketball topics. We'll talk SGA. We'll talk Team Canada. We'll talk Toronto Tempo. We'll talk CEBL. So, yeah, if you want to talk, good morning to you, Melvin. Good morning, Lex. How are you today? Just pissed how Halliburton did another Reggie Miller comeback. Oh, this is Mel Bester. I got to remember, this is Mel Bester's other name. Reggie Miller comeback haunting us Knicks fans of our playoff series rivalry in the 90s all over again. Thoughts? Well, this is great to have our Knicks friend, Mel Bester, a Knicks fan in New York, come in and visit with us the day after the game last night in overtime. I want to say, first of all, Mel Bester, I'm proud of y'all's Knicks for putting out the Boston Celtics. I'm really, really happy about that. Thank you, Mel Bester. Thank you. Now, in this series, I am rooting for the Pacers and Siakam. I do still love Anunoby and Precious and DeLon, but I got to go with the team I want to get to the finals, and it's not your team. Last night was weird, man, and I hope you caught the part where I said earlier, Mel Bester, that Tom Thibodeau ran your team in the ground, and, you know, he's saying after the game last night that y'all ran out of juice and were tired and you couldn't play to end the game, and that's why you lost. Well, that's his own damn fault, and that's what I'd tell Knicks Nation and Knicks Freak right here, Mel Bester, that you can blame your coach for running out of juice at the end of the game, because we know all year he's ran your team to the ground. And, well, it's going to show up now. Yeah, I don't like that Halliburton did that celebration. It's too early. He can do it when he eliminates y'all. He did it too early. He's going to fuel y'all's fire is what he's doing there. I don't like that. Mel Bester, always welcome here. I love you, man. Good to see you. Stargate saying, Lex, Raptors Digest has been totally exposed as a fraud channel. It is basically part of a corporate franchise. Type in any digest and take a look. They're all being paid by a single entity. Yeah, and that's a similar thing with Locked On Raptors. Locked On Raptors is Locked On Pacers, Locked On Knicks, Locked On Sixers. There's all those channels there that Sean Woodley does, the one for Toronto. And yeah, I didn't know that about Raptors Digest until recently when you pointed out that there is an equivalent for all the teams in sports, and it's a template kind of like site that Ben's doing out there in the Maritimes on Raptors Digest. Yeah, in some ways, the style of what he does is informed by the network that he belongs to. That we need to realize with Raptors Digest that some of this content and the way he's doing things is directed by the Digest network. And that some of his half-ass crazy trade ideas and all this crazy like hype and his clickbait kind of stuff that he's doing is because that's synonymous with this network. And that's what Stargate's pointing out. I appreciate you bringing this to light, because I didn't realize there were Pacers Digest and Knicks Digest and Wizards Digest out there too. I didn't realize that he was like the Locked On network. You know, we need to get this freak network going. Mel Bester, start Knicks Freak channel. Do it, man. Mel Bester, get the Knicks Freak channel on YouTube right now. And you could even do like a Mets Freak too. Dominican Republic Freak. How about that? You do it for your own country too. That'd be awesome, man. Mel Bester, always respect, bro. Always respect, man. All right, let's see. Seymour saying, once I seen the post about a possible DeMar DeRozan coming back in a trade, I knew Raptors Digest was full of digest. Flush the toilet. Full of digested digest. So just flush the toilet. That's hilarious. You know, I don't mind DeRozan coming back, but I don't see a scenario where it works. I really don't. Mel Bester saying, I was so happy for SGA last night winning MVP. I loved his speech about his wife, and I didn't realize his great personality. I like him a lot now. He's the second Canadian to win the MVP since Nash. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Yeah, I love that. In some ways, he's getting more exposure, and people are falling more in love with him. I love to hear that. That's music to my words. Music to my ears. Sorry. You know, SGA, like I said, he may be the closest thing to Jordan in this league right now, personality-wise, smooth-wise, cool-wise, and just dominating-wise. In some ways, you're looking for a face of the league, Adam Silver, SGA's your guy because he's well-spoken. He's a good role model. He's not John Morant. And he's also top of the field, MVP. So what's the problem? He's Canadian. That's your problem with it? Come on, man. Come on, man. Get over yourself and stop being like that. Don't hold back on SGA love and face the league just because he's from this side of the border. Seriously. Milbester likes a guy. Seriously, come on now. Kareem saying, damn, I need to step up my dunks. Yeah, you got to get there. You got to get there. Stargate saying Magic Digest, Sixers Digest, Lakers Digest, Bucks Digest. It's like a lot to digest. And in some ways, I ain't got no time for digesting the McDonald's of YouTube sports content. That's a dunk right there. You call them the McDonald's of YouTube sports content. You call them the McDonald's. Oh, 63. That getting back to bad food for you, man. Getting back to that, man. Mel Bester saying Lex knows us Knicks fans really well. The fan base will say a lot of toxic stuff. If we lose the Pacers and then debate with Tibbs and how the rest of the players played this series, Brunson era is crazy. I want to say this, and this is for my Knicks fans that may watch me still to a degree, partly because they're RJ fans and IQ fans, and they want to see how they're doing, so they come check on Raptors Freak, like Mel Bester. I really feel it's special. The pictures of Jalen Brunson as a child, the last time you guys got somewhere in the playoffs with Marcus Camby and all that, it's kind of like Dallas was doomed. I mean, that little kid, that little Brunson was already wearing that New York's jersey, and he's like a toddler. It's like they were doomed. That man was going to go to New York no matter what. Rick Brunson's assistant coach on that team. And that family's a Knick family, obviously, Jalen Brunson being on the Knicks. Dallas Mavericks had no chance. In some ways, people ask Mark Cuban, why did you let Jalen Brunson go to New York? There was no chance. It was preordained. That kid had underoos that were New York Knickerbockers. I mean, seriously, those pictures are cute, though. I'm going to say that. And it's kind of cool in full circle to see all those Knicks former players like Spreewell and Camby out there and celebrating. And we can get behind Marcus Camby. He showed up here for a sec and did Raptors alumni for 30th anniversary. So, Marcus, you're good with us right now. Yeah. But, yeah, I think that's cool as hell, Milbester, the full circle of Jalen Brunson in this Knicks-Pacers Eastern Conference Finals is very, very cool. Stargate saying SGA is also his own agent. More players are going to start going this route. I would not totally recommend this. Sir, certain people at SGA, sure, you could do it probably, but I wouldn't recommend this for most of the players. I would say this right now. That may be a special case in some ways for SGA, but a lot of these guys probably shouldn't represent themselves. It's not a good idea. But SGA, it seems like he could do it. Smooth saying Tatum out for the next season. So, yeah, Boston might be ready for a change. Is he out for the whole season? I heard he's only out for the first half because he did get the surgery right away. That's smart. He knew he wasn't going to be able to play for sure. He got that surgery done as soon as he was hurt. And now he can have the whole summer to try and get ready for next year. So I'm not sure if he's out for the whole season. I've heard half of the season next year. I've heard that. But best just saying, I'll say this, Lex. My Florida Panthers destroyed the hearts of Toronto Maple Leafs fans. Man, you're making me hurt a little bit. I'm not even Leafs Nation. I don't consider you. Your Panthers destroyed the hearts of us? Oh, Milbester. Oh, shots fired. I hope they go back-to-back titles this year. Yeah, what are you saying this? No, fuck the Panthers, man. Bullshit. I know they almost blew a 3-0 lead to the Oilers in Stanley Cup. Man, if that's the same Stanley Cup next year, I need a new result. No back-to-back here, Mel. I'm on the exact side of you, Milbester, on this, the opposite side. We need a Canadian Stanley Cup champion and F the Florida Panthers. I want to see them lose. Leaf fans and I can get it behind that on the same page. That's right. Seymour saying Lillard, Tatum, all out for next season. Damian Lillard out for Milwaukee really hurts, and that's probably why Giannis wants to get out of there. Right there. Hi, Penguin. Hi, Penguin. Seymour saying next time, Melvin, next time or the time after that. Okay. Yeah, that was a really mean comment, but Milbester, you've earned it. You're a good Knicks fan. And in some ways, I will not give you a strike for dissing Leaf Nation in the way you just did as a Panthers fan. It's fine. In some ways, I'm not involved in this. I'll just it's like a fight at the end of the bar between a Panthers fan making fun of a Leaf fan. I'm like, man, I'm not even going to get involved. No strike for you. It's fine. I'll allow it. But if you did that to the Raptors Nation, if you said something like that about Raptors Nation, oh, Milbester, you're getting a strike. Milbester knows about strikes, though. He's gotten them in the past. That's right. Stargate saying, I heard that Flag didn't want to go to West at all. He wanted to be drafted to East Coast team. He didn't look enthusiastic about the draft, like when it, like the mock, the lottery. He didn't look enthusiastic about the results for that, did he? No, he didn't. He did not. It didn't look good, man. Kareem saying, so the only championship caliber players in the league's final four is OG and Spicy? No. There's other players on those teams that have won it, right? They're not the only two champions. And OG didn't play in the championship part, so he doesn't really count. He doesn't have the treasure map like Pascal because he wasn't actively on the court when we won our championship. So I wouldn't say OG has a treasure map. He doesn't. In some ways, the Knicks, the way they're doing it is on the back of Brunson. Seriously. It's just the sheer will and clutchness of Jalen Brunson that's powering them through these playoffs. Sure, there's little things where people step up sometimes. Cat's not the guy. Seriously. Cat wasn't the guy from Minnesota. And in some ways, he's helping. But he's kind of helping, kind of like, Porzingis helps Celtics. In some ways, he helps. But in some ways, I wouldn't trust Cat to be relied on in the toughest moments. He could go away all of a sudden, just like his old teammate Rudy Gobert, and be like Bodega Cat, who's useless and just doesn't show up for the team, a passenger, so to speak, as the Maple Leafs would say. I could see Cat being a passenger. I don't totally trust him. Brunson will show up every single time and do it, put his heart on the line. I don't know, man. Who are former champions that are still playing right now? There's got to be some other guys other than the Raptors that have won championships that are still playing. Caruso won a championship with the Lakers, so he has a championship map for the Thunder. He's the guy with the map for the Thunder. The Thunder don't have any other champions other than Alex Caruso. So he in that locker room's the guy saying, yeah, this is what we did in the bubble when we won this fake-ass Mickey Mouse championship. Sorry, I had to get a burn on that one real quick. Chris was saying, man, I need that draft to hurry up. But then again, I was looking forward to the lottery, and that was disappointing. And Masai, we trust. There you go. There you go. We ain't got no calls in the call-in, but we're doing 4 hours, it seems like. We're over 3 hours now. In some ways, I got to get finished up because I got a 1 o'clock appointment. Rely on Masai like that. No more comments, please. Cut off, please. Chris comes saying, number 1, Common. Number 2, Carter Bryant. After that, I haven't really put in the work or search. I don't mind Carter Bryant, too. And if I had like an extra, like, I'm okay with this, but he's kind of short. He's 6'7", 6'7". And in some ways, I want a bigger player. That's why I was like, he's got to be 6'9" and the ability to grow still. And that's why I was like, Asa Newell still works. But in some ways, I'm worried. I don't know. Carter Bryant's intriguing, and he looks like a great player, but I don't know if he fits what our needs are. And that's why I didn't put him on my list. But he's a thumbs up for me if we do draft him. I could see why they would. And I would start to figure out why Masai and Bobby drafted him, and it'd be a good thing. Kareem saying, so last year, Darko took the team to Spain. This year, they should go to Blue Mountain, and in August, go to Carabana. Could have a hot boy summer in the 6. Okay, you're trying to get dunks now. You saw the 100 points that Smooth just got, and you're like, man, now he's going to try and get dunks. I don't know about this. Some of them should go to Carabana, though. I agree with this. Blue Mountain? Really? What? What is this? Seymour saying, hold up. Keith Van Horn was a baller, Lex. Trajan Langdon was a choke. No, it's just that I'm making a light of what Stargate keeps saying about Keith Van Horn. That's why I bring him up. Yeah, Keith Van Horn played pretty good for a little while there, but he's not what they expected him to be from college. That's the whole point of it, is that in some ways they're going to say these things about Cooper Flagg, and what if he's Keith Van Horn? He's the impact that Keith Van Horn had in this league. That was the whole origin of the Keith Van Horn reference, is that Stargate said that he could see Cooper Flagg having a career like Keith Van Horn, even though he's so hyped up right now. I think that's fair to say. That is a possibility. That is a possibility. Seymour saying pick 9 and 39. That's right. That's right. I've been going on there. Chris comes saying, first prediction of the offseason, keeping health in mind, of course. Raptors 5th seed. We will revisit closer to the season. I like that. 5th seed seems reasonable. 5th seed in the East next year. A straight up playoff spot. Not home court advantage, but a straight up playoff spot. That's fine, man. It may depend on health. Like I said, depending on health. Stargate said, nah, man, Keith Van Horn was a solid NBA player. He just wasn't the game-changing generational player he was being touted to be when coming out of college, much like what is happening to Flagg today. There you go. That's exactly, I paraphrased it just a second ago, exactly what we're talking about. 66 on the dunk charts for Stargate on the dunk charts. Let's see. Melvin saying, I will say that the finalists for NBA MVP award this season were great with Giannis, SGA, and Joker, but obviously the NBA went with the right player. Jokic and Giannis already won an MVP in a ring. Exactly. Exactly. And I am that kind of person that wants to spread it out. I mean, Kareem had a good point last night on our Discord server that how the hell does the greatest season in NBA history statistically not get the MVP? And that is kind of what Jokic did. I mean, Kareem has a great point that this is a center that averaged a triple-double this season. That is unheard of. That is insane. But this is also a guy who's won 3 MVPs already. He gets a 4th MVP. He goes into a category above certain players that have won certain MVPs in the past, that he gets above them. And some people ain't about that. That's part of the problem right here. It could very well be that Joker should deserve like all the MVPs for the rest of his career, but he may not get very many more, because that's what the thing is, Kareem, is it's not voter fatigue about voting for Joker. It's about his place in the whole bigger picture of the whole history of the NBA with the amount of MVPs that he has. You've got to understand some of the greatest players in the league have less MVPs than him already. And in some ways, they're gauging him historically with the whole history of the NBA and the amount of MVPs he has against guys like Kareem and Magic and Wilt and, Michael. That's what it is right there. And even gauging him against LeBron. If Joker got every MVP that he deserved, he'd probably have an insane amount that looked weird in the whole historical charts. That is part of it. And that is part of why he will get tempered for not getting every single MVP he deserves. Is exactly what I'm saying. It's historical context that may hold him back. I'm just saying, yeah. Milbester is repeating, so I'm going to skip some of his stuff. Let's see. Smooth saying OVO doing NFL and NHL also. I like that. Melvin saying, but Lex, I felt the same way with RJ. I always liked him, but the fans and coaching staff let him down. He has a massive potential and a guy that likes basketball, but they gave him a chance with the Raptors. I see. This is a Knicks fan who's being honest about it. And he's, first of all, he's already said what I said about the toxicness about Knicks fan base is true, that he sees the fan base around him doing some of the actions like the Leafs Nation. And then he's also saying that he sees the same stuff I see with RJ as far as the difference between Toronto and New York. And yeah, he always liked RJ. That's part of the reason why Milbester's here, guys. That's part of it right there. Stargate saying, I'm just playing around with all my trade proposals. It's that 6th seed. Get that 6th seed by the end of the season, be relatively healthy. They're in good shape. No, hang on, it jumped ahead. No need for trades. I totally agree with this. Give the current roster healthy a chance. Yeah. Yep. We don't even know yet. We didn't get Brandon yet. Let's see Brandon first. If it's not working halfway through the season and we've been healthy, then we do trades around the trade deadline. That's what I say right there. That's the way you do it correctly right there, guys. Melbester saying, I'm glad RJ's in a better spot with the Raptors in the hometown of Toronto. Knicks did him a huge favor. He was supposed to be the face of the franchise, but they got Brunson and it changed everything. Yeah, they had to pivot. And I'm thankful that he landed on his feet with us. And I'm pretty sure he's very happy. He's very happy to play for the Raptors. And I don't know. You could probably talk to RJ Barrett and Mitch Marner, and they could trade notes on how much pressure they feel about playing for their teams. I bet you RJ is not feeling half of what Mitch Marner does. Seriously. John Tavares. Yeah, I guess we should talk about guys who are from Toronto. Does John Tavares trade notes with RJ Barrett about playing for your hometown and how that feels and the problems with it? I'm wondering. Blackhawk saying, I'm not bashing on whether RJ is good or not. The team is unproven until they're proven. As constructed today, we're not a championship team. I don't believe that. If you have pieces to change them, my point is proven. All players are expendable eventually. Well, that is definitely true. And I'm just going to say this once again. We're in a rebuild still on the down low. And the part of the rebuild is it's not rebuilding through assets coming to the team. The rebuild is gaining time and knowledge and veteran time for young players that are all under 25. And that the time is on these guys to get better. I think the people that are on the team are the right people for a championship. I think it's just that they need to get older and more experienced is what I'm saying, Neil. It's not that we need to change the people. Jamal Shedd's going to grow. Emmanuel Quickley is going to grow. RJ Barrett's going to grow. Grady Dick's going to grow. Ulrich Shamshe is going to grow. I think that this is the right cast, and this is a championship type team with Brandon Ingram on it. It's just that we need to let them grow up. that they're young. And that's the only thing that's in the way. It's not changing the roster around. It's time and letting these guys have an NBA career and grow, and they will grow into it. Trust me. I'm telling you right now, this could be a championship team already that we have. It's just that they need time, is what I'm saying. Stargate saying, if the teams are unproven, how do we know if it is or isn't a championship caliber team? Exactly. Well, starters only playing 8 out of the 82 games together is hardly a significant enough sample to gauge success any which way. I will agree with Stargate. Tristan Trace giving a W from Milbester. I love that. I'm going to give Tristan a dunk. I'm going to give Tristan a dunk right here for giving Milbester up. So 15 for Tristan on the dunk chart. Good to see Tristan on there. That's right. Mel saying, I don't believe that. Tibbs was why they lost last night. You do believe that Tibbs is the reason why they lost? You don't believe it, or you do? Tristan saying, the single entity is Ben Rogers. Laugh out loud. It's all chill. It started with Raptors. Let's all chill. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Ben Rogers is any kind of weirdo. I think he has a passion for the Raptors. But once again, I'm going to say this. Has that man ever come to Toronto? Has he been around Toronto culture? Does he understand Toronto, the city, and the people here? Or is he just a kid from the Maritimes, from the East Coast of Canada, who doesn't really understand Toronto in some ways and what he's doing? That's why I don't like how he throws RJ on the bus. You've got to understand how special this is. Seriously, this is a high caliber top lottery pick that's playing for the Raptors all of a sudden. I wished him to be on the Raptors when he got drafted by the Knicks, and it happened. My wish came true. It was just delayed. And that's why I say to other people, yeah, the dream of having SGA or Jamal Murray or Zach Edey on the Raptors is real, because these guys will try and boomerang back to us. And RJ Barrett is one of these kind of guys. And I'm all about that. That's right. Mel Bester saying Mark Cuban is the reason why Brunson left Dallas. He overlooked him. Honestly, this and Steve Nash leaving Dallas was the two worst moves Cuban ever did in his career as a Mavs owner and GM. Mark Cuban's openly, publicly said he couldn't do a damn thing about Brunson leaving. Seriously, some people are saying he didn't try hard enough. No, Brunson had already made up his mind. You can't say this, Milbester. Don't put this on Mark Cuban. It's not his fault. Jalen Brunson was going to leave Dallas no matter what. There was nothing Mark Cuban could have done at that moment. That's something that people don't understand. They should, because they can see how much he fits there, and his dad being on the team and the culture of his childhood, being a Knicks kid. It just makes sense. So doesn't that make sense, Milbester, that Mark Cuban wouldn't have had anything he could do about the situation to let Jalen Brunson walk and leave? Some people say you didn't throw enough money at him. I don't think that's what it was. I think Brunson had it set that he was coming to New York no matter what, is what I'm saying. Melbester saying, Lex, I really think Dante will come back to the Knicks after next season. Is the halfway point of his 4-year deal. If he doesn't get the extension with the Wolves, he's probably back with the Knicks. With us, if the Knicks title, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I know in some ways Dante was pretty pissed at y'all for trading him to Minnesota. He was pretty mad. All right, we're at the end of the chat, so let me go ahead and do the classic card, and let's try and get out of here within 3.5 hours. Seriously, man, I can't believe I'm gone so long today, but the conversation has been very, very good today. So it makes sense. It may not be a call-in show, but you guys are definitely coming with the comment fire today. All right, here's the classic card. Full name answer, please. It's pretty easy. He's in a Bulls jersey. There you go. Kind of looks like Kasparov a little bit. Like I was looking at Kasparov yesterday a lot, but it's not Kasparov. It's a different player from Eastern Europe. Of course, it's the Finnish player, Lauri Markkanen. It's exactly right. Slug Deezy is the king of the classic card right now. I'm sorry, Smooth, but Slug Deezy has been killing it on there. That's too easy, though. In some ways, that's an easy one. So, Slug, I'm going to have to give you 50 for this one because that's a pretty recognizable player right there, Lauri Markkanen. I'm not even totally sure if he's going to be in Utah very soon because they are kind of making overtures that he's going to be a trade chip to try and continue to rebuild with their team. All right, let me see if I've missed anything on my tabs real quick. Let's do Raptors Reddit reaction real quick. They're comparing the bounce shot that Tyrese Halliburton hit last night to Kawhi's bounce shot. Nah, man, you can't do that. It's not the same. Seriously, you can't. Let's see. They got a little clip of OG and Pascal running into each other at the basket. Siakam blocking OG, knocking the ball out of his hands. And they're saying, hang it in the Louvre because it's like, speaking of France, hang it in the great art gallery where the Mona Lisa is in Paris. This piece of art of Siakam going at Anunoby. Pretty crazy, man. Some guy's bragging that he picked the Pacers to go all the way, and it's looking real good on Reddit. This guy's going crazy on this, man. Yeah, there's Raptors Reddit reaction real quick. Y'all check on your WNBA fantasy teams. Mike, Logical Raptors Fanatic, all you guys, set your lineups, please, because you can't win if you don't set your lineups. Come on now. You got to set your lineups, guys. Set your lineups up real good. All right, let me see. Is there anything else I want to talk about? No, I think I've got it pretty much cleared up. And we're going to finish the stream real fast right here. That's right. Smooth saying, always trying to devalue Toronto stuff, eh? Who is that? Who's trying to do that? I don't know who's doing that. Who's trying to devalue Toronto stuff? Elaborate, Reggie, please. You have the time. All right. Once again, guys, going over my top 10 big man recommendations for Bobby Masai for this draft. At number 9, my number 1 pick is Common. If they can get Common at 9, if he's available, just do it. Take him. Do it. Don't think twice. If he isn't there, my favorite is Asa Newell at that point. I think that kid has Claxton-like characteristics, and his three-point shot is sound. So I think that the kid from Georgia, Asa Newell, would be fantastic on this team if he's possibly the person that they want. Joan Berenguer and Noah Essenge are 2 French guys that in some ways Joan would be a reach at 9, but Noah may be a sound pick at that point. Noah Essenge, Bobby Masai. Also, we talked about Rasheer Fleming as a possibility as a power forward for this team, a very nice athletic player. We talked about another French guy, Maxime Renaud, who's probably the best shooting center in this draft. And, well, I would say if you could get him at 39, that's fantastic. But he may be in the vast gulf between our 9th pick and our 39th pick. Picks, a lot of the places where he's getting mocked are in the mid-20s. He's like late first round. But I would say this, if Renaud falls all the way to the second round and he's available at 39, that would be amazing steal. But I don't think it's likely. And he's a reach at number 9, guys. I think he's a reach at number 9. Thomas Sorber, another name that I'm okay with from Georgetown. And then 3 backup centers that could be possible at 39 that I would be okay with Masai are Rocco Zakarski of Australia. We got mixed reviews from everybody here, though. They're not totally with me. Yannick Conan Niederhauser looked pretty good on the Claxton scale. And Ryan Kalkbrenner, just for pure size, kind of Donovan Clingan kind of center kind of energy. He may be too small for the league, too slow for the league, though. Ryan Kalkbrenner may be too slow for the league. Those are my 10 recommendations. And a little side recommendation of I would be okay with Carter Bryant, maybe a little bit. Adu Terry, in the second round at 39. If you want Adu, he's got crazy hops. I mean, they're going to know better than me. And maybe I'll look more at guards and wings, point guards in the future. Good job, Pacers, beating the Knicks in overtime by 3. Crazy game. Tyrese Halliburton, don't do the choke too early. The referees for Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals, Scott Foster is the crew chief. He favors Minnesota. Tony Brothers is the referee. He favors Oklahoma City. And Pat Frere is the umpire. He favors Oklahoma City for that. Cactus Club is a great high-end Canadian restaurant. Go to Cactus Club if you can afford it. That's what I would say there. Yeah, all right, we're done. No birthdays today, guys. Unfortunately, no Raptor-related birthdays on this date today. I appreciate everybody watching me today. No calls today. That's all right. In some ways, it's like the call-in format, it's going to change. At some point, the Thursday Think Tank is going to become boxes of people as guests on this show with me. And I am in talks with a couple different people, like Logical Raptors Fanatic and the producer of To The Point, to try and help produce this channel in better ways coming up. And I have some surprises coming up, hopefully this summer, that will have happen. We'll see. I have some plans. I don't want to tell you guys. I'd rather make them surprises down the road. Once again, the next Raptor Freak Hangout is on June the 7th at the NBA restaurant for superfan Monique Lawrence's birthday. Please come on down. She's expecting about 30 people for the party, and we'll be celebrating her birthday, superfan Monique Lawrence, and I'll be down there, and other people from the Raptor Freak channel. And the Giants of Africa contingency will be there, along with all kinds of other great people like Monique's family. So if you feel like hanging out with the Raptor Freaks in real life, we have a real event at NBA Restaurant June the 7th at 5:30 p.m. That's on the Queens Quay in downtown Toronto. The very first NBA restaurant in the league is here in Toronto. So you can come down there and check it out with me, man. and come and hang out with Monique and I. That's right. There you go. Yeah, let's see. Smooth saying Tyrese Halliburton's shot compared to Kawhi's shot, ridiculous. I think it's because there was some bounce. That's why. It's only because of bounce. Yeah, they're trying to. Oh, the shot is why you're saying they're trying to devalue Toronto stuff. Well, these are Raptors fans on Reddit that are comparing it. So in some ways, it's organically from our own people. Blackhawks saying Maxime might be 14 to 25 in the first round based on the combine. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. His range is right around there. I think 14 is a little high. I haven't seen him that high, but he may have improved his stock because of the combine. And those mock drafts may be a little late on that. All right, thanks for watching me, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, join the channel. If you join the channel, you get access to our Discord server and our Facebook group, and you get the ability to see some of the inside stuff that Monique and Trevor J and myself are posting at different times. All right, thanks, guys. I'll be back tomorrow for a Friday freak out. So I hope you guys have a fantastic Thursday. Let's go Raptors and try and be a good, non-toxic sports fan. If you're a Leaf fan and something I said today hit a little hard, go look in the mirror. Go look in the mirror. That's what I'm going to say right there. If something I said today you took personally, I probably said it to you. That's what I say right there. Let's go Raptors. That's right. Raptors forever.